Chapter 343. Sacrifice. Qin Yin originally wanted to go to the Divine Inscription Palace to take a look because Xiao Yuanmei and Xiao Xianqin are in the Imperial City's Divine Inscription Palace. However, Qinlong told him that Xiao Yuanmei and Xiao Xianqin had gone to the Martial Desolate. They went with Zhuochuan, Duan Qian, and the others also headed to the Martial Desolate. Xiao Xianqin and Xiao Yuanmei naturally followed along. There was also Meng Failing, who was on the same journey as them. They all went to the Martial Desolate Land. I also want to take a look. Qin Yun was currently flying towards the Star Xianwu Academy. When he arrived at the Star Xianwu Academy, he met Du Gui. Du Gui was old and no longer had that kind of drive. Therefore, he did not go to the Martial Desolate Land, but continued to stay here. Qin Yun chatted with Du Gui for a while and learned that Qi Meiyan and her mysterious teacher had gone to the Martial Desolate Land originally. He also wanted to come and see Qi Meiyan. At this moment, he could only hope that she could safely reach the Martial Desolate Land. When Qin Yun left the Star Xianwu Academy and flew over the Myriad Star Lake, he could not help but think of his elder sister, the Grand Preceptor, who was hiding below. He hovered above the Myriad Star Lake and looked at the huge waves that rose from time to time on the surface of the lake. He then looked at the 9 suns in the sky before looking at his wrist. 9 Yang Divine Spirit, Elder Sister Grand Preceptor, Emoji's daughter, Immortal Graveyard. What secrets are they hiding? Qin Yun felt that he would soon head to the Martial Desolate Land. He did not know when he would have enough strength to enter the mysterious Immortal Graveyard. Mother's soul is in the Immortal Graveyard. As long as we go in and retrieve her soul, we can resurrect her. Qin Yun recalled Xie Keru's words and felt secretly excited. He also knew that if he wanted to successfully enter the Immortal Graveyard, he had to possess very strong strength. Even Zi Qingsheng, who was at the Spirit Realm, did not dare to casually investigate the Immortal Graveyard, much less the Martial Dao Realm. Qin Yun hurriedly rushed back to Blue Spirit Star Palace. He wanted to quickly open the second bead of the 9 Yang Divine Spirit and see what was inside. Could it help him obtain even more power? After flying for half a day, Qin Yun finally arrived at the entrance of Blue Spirit Star Palace. However, the moment he arrived, he sensed that the Blue Spirit Star Palace's defensive formation had been broken. What's going on? Qin Yun's heart jolted as he hurriedly flew towards the Eastern Palace's inscription gate. As soon as he entered the East Palace, he sensed a few strong auras. It was the aura of the spiritual martial realm. Qin Yun was immediately alarmed. The auras of the spirit realm were filled with ruthless, killing intent. It was afternoon, and the 9 scorching suns were very hot. However, the Eastern Palace was shrouded in a cold, murderous aura. Sister Lan. Qin Yun looked at the cave on top of the Silver Mountain. When he saw the stone door automatically close, he felt a lot more at ease. He was tied up by Zi Qingsheng, and the stone door closed automatically. Lan Fengjin couldn't come out either. Just as he was flying towards the Silver Mountain, a murderous aura suddenly attacked him. It's the warriors of the spirit martial realm. They are still in the East Palace. Qin Yun did not know what was going on. He hurriedly used teleportation meteor and ran at an extremely fast speed. Qin Yun, you won't be able to escape. An aged voice filled with maniacal laughter rang out like thunder. Boom! A very powerful force descended from the sky, transforming into a bolt of golden lightning. It landed on Qin Yun's body and struck him down. After Qin Yun was struck, his body felt as though it was being torn apart by a numbing and painful force. Even though he was wearing the Blue Spirit Profound Robe, he was unable to withstand the powerful lightning power. The power of the spirit realm was actually this terrifying. Bang! Qin Yun was struck down from the sky. He fell onto the flat ground at the foot of the mountain, just outside the entrance of the trial path of the inscription gate. Just as he landed, an old man wearing a dragon robe appeared and stomped heavily on Qin Yun's chest. This old man was from the Dragon Fist sect, and he was a martial artist of the spirit realm. Qin Yun felt as though his heart was about to shatter when he was heavily stomped on. Thankfully, he had the vibration Tao core in his heart, blocking the impact. Haha, let's see how you can still be arrogant. You actually killed someone from our Dragon Fist sect. The old man in the golden dragon robe laughed sinisterly. Qin Yun, do you know who I am? I am the sect leader of the Dragon Fist sect. Even that slut, Zi Qingsheng, is not my match. Don't expect her to come and save you. Qin Yun endured the pain and said angrily, Old fellow, you better kill me immediately. Otherwise, I will definitely make you die a miserable death in the future. Haha, did you hear that? This brat actually said that he wants me to die a miserable death. The Dragon Fist sect leader immediately laughed loudly. At this moment, many people walked out. Among them, there were 2 at the spirit realm and more than 20 at the martial Dao realm. In addition, there were also hundreds of martial artists at the 8th or 9th level martial body realm. So many people from the Dragon Fist sect had come. Ever since the Blue Spirit Star Palace was taken over by the Violet Spirit Star Palace, many disciples had run away. Many of the inscription masters had defected to other powers, causing the entire Blue Spirit Star Palace to be empty, and there was no one to maintain the Great Formation. As for the Violet Spirit Star Palace, they were unable to take over, which was why they were in such a situation. After all, the Blue Spirit Star Palace had already collapsed and was no longer of much value. No one can save you. The Dragon Fist sect leader laughed loudly. You won't be able to escape. Just as he finished his sentence, he saw a few old men in blue robes suddenly appear. And moreover, they swiftly rushed over. Elder Shui. Qin Yun could not help but shout when he saw the expressions of Shui Hui and company, who were unafraid of death. Qin Yun, you are the only hope of the Blue Spirit Star Palace. Shui Hui's eyes were red. To be able to see a successor of the inscription gate, I will die without regrets. Qin Yun, we will do our best to save you. An old man shouted as well. The Dragon Fist sect leader smiled disdainfully. You bunch of old fellows, have you lived enough? I'll send you on your way. Elder Shui, you all. Qin Yun's eyes could not help but turn red. He was moved by the spirit of Shui Hui and the other elders. Even Lan Chun had given up on the Blue Spirit Star Palace. However, Shui Hui and the other elders of the Eastern Palace were bitterly defending. For many years, they had been looking forward to the day when the Blue Spirit Star Palace would rise. The reason why the Blue Spirit Star Palace had once been glorious was because of the existence of the Inscription Gate. Now, the Inscription Gate finally had a successor. This gave them hope. Therefore, Shui Hui and the others had risked their lives for the sake of the hope that they had held onto for so many years. Shui Hui and company were only in the martial Dao realm. In front of the spirit realm, they could not even withstand a single blow. However, when they rushed over, the Dao cores in their bodies suddenly swelled up and flew out of their bodies, charging toward the Dragon Fist sect leader. The originally contemptuous Dragon Fist sect leader and the others could not help but have a drastic change in expression when they saw the few Dao cores flying over. The power of the self-detonation of a Dao core could not be said to be great, but it was not small either. With his cultivation at the spirit realm, although he would not be injured, he would still be in a very sorry state. Furthermore, those Dao cores were all flying towards the group of martial Dao realm and martial body realm cultivators. The Dragon Fist sect leader and the other 2 were at the spirit realm. Naturally, they had to go and block them. Otherwise, not even half of the disciples they brought would be able to return. Furthermore, they would all be severely injured. The Dragon Fist sect leader and the others at the spirit realm had no choice but to abandon Qin Yun to protect their disciples. Qin Yun was already shocked by the feat of Shui Hui and company. His eyes were moist. Elder Shui Qin Yun have let you down, he roared. After releasing the Dao cores, Shui Hui and company lay on the ground. Only Shui Hui was still alive, but he was about to die. He smiled at Qin Yun. Whether or not we can pass this trial will depend on you. We have lived long enough to be able to see a successor to the Inscription Gate. We are already satisfied. Qin Yun let out a deep roar as he used his strongest mental energy. He used the Imperial Spirit Art and stored the dying Shui Yi Hui into his storage space. Then, he used the Imperial Spirit Art to lift his injured body up and charge towards the trial path. All of this happened too quickly. No one had expected that Shui Yi Hui and company would have the courage to separate their Dao cores from their bodies. It was extremely painful. Boom, boom, boom. The explosion of the Dao cores destroyed most of the buildings in the Blue Spirit Star Palace. The violent ripples gradually weakened. The sky above Blue Spirit Star Palace was still shrouded in thick clouds. Dust danced in the air, accompanied by lightning. The Blue Spirit Star Palace had turned into ruins. Only the Silver Mountains still stood tall, shining with silver light, as sturdy as a fortress. The three warriors of the Dragon Fist Spirit sect also heaved a sigh of relief. If they had been any slower, not many of those disciples would have been able to survive. Hundreds of disciples were enveloped by their powerful energy barriers, preventing them from being injured by the exploding pill Dao. Those old fellows actually wanted to drag our disciples down with them before they died. The Dragon Fist sect leader cursed angrily. That brat Qin Yun. He ran towards that cave. The entrance to the road of trial was still pitch black, like an evil mouth. After entering, there was no way to get out. Sect leader, should we chase after him? An old man said, we can't let him escape just like that. This guy's potential is very terrifying. What should we do when he comes back to take revenge on us in the future? If I had known earlier, I would have killed him just now. The Dragon Fist sect leader coldly snorted and said, are you blaming me for not being straightforward enough and not killing him immediately? What do you know? The value of capturing Qin Yun alive is enormous. You saw it too. Those old fellows self-destructed their Dao cores to protect Qin Yun. You know his value. The mysterious Silver Mountain was once the glory of the Blue Spirit Star Palace. It once allowed the Blue Spirit Star Palace to become a Xian sect. Later on, because no one was able to pass the trial, the inheritance of the inscriptions was gradually cut off. Now that Qin Yun has passed the trial, it means that he can make the Blue Spirit Star Palace rise again. As long as we capture him alive and think of a way to obtain his inscriptions, our Dragon Fist sect can also become a Xian sect in the future. The old man nodded repeatedly. Sect leader is truly far-sighted. Then what should we do now? This mysterious Silver Mountain is famous for being hard. We definitely won't be able to break through it. Could it be that we have to enter the trial path? Wait, I don't believe that he won't come out. The Dragon Fist sect leader sneered. Our other people are currently attacking the Violet Spirit Star Palace. Once we take down the Violet Spirit Star Palace, we will be the overlord of this border area. Qin Yun entered the trial path, but the array formation inside did not attack him. He had the jade of the sect leader of the inscription gate in his hand, which allowed him to easily pass the trial. These guys actually attacked the Violet Spirit Star Palace. No wonder Qin Sheng didn't come. Qin Yun heard the conversation outside the trial path. He was temporarily safe on the road of trials. Chapter 344. Earth Lightning Claw Shui Yi Hui had been saved by Qin Yun, but his injuries were severe. Furthermore, without the support of the Dao core, he had become extremely weak. Even if he recovered from his injuries, he would quickly die of old age. By cultivating a Dao core and condensing the power of the great Dao, one's lifespan would increase. If it was a powerful person, they could even use the power of the great Dao with pills to preserve their appearance forever. For example, Qingshen. Shui Yi Hui had lost his Dao core, and the wrinkles on his face gradually increased. It was filled with an aura of death. Qin Yun passed through the trial path and arrived at the hall. He placed Shui Yi Hui on the ground. Then, through the tree totem, he condensed a strange life force and injected it into Shui Yi Hui's body. Shui Yi Hui, who was unconscious, gradually regained some consciousness, his eyes half opened. He looked around and said excitedly, "Is this the inside of the inscription gate?" Qin Yun smiled. "Yes, Although this place is a little crude, its defense is very strong. Before I die, I'm satisfied to be able to see the true sacred land of our blue spirit star palace." Shui Yihui revealed a satisfied smile. It was as if he had long since become indifferent to life and death. Lan Fengjin also hurriedly came out of a secret chamber. After learning about the situation outside from Qin Yun, she was infuriated. "Qin Yun, don't waste your energy on me." Shui Yihui's voice was very low and weak. "No, I must cure you," Qin Yun said very seriously. If not for Shui Yihui's sudden appearance and self-destructing the pill Dao, Qin Yun would not have had the chance to escape. Shui Yihui was his savior. "I don't even have my Dao core anymore. Even if I'm cured, I won't be able to live for long." Shui Yihui smiled faintly. "You must promise me that in the future, you must carry forward the inscriptions of the inscription gate." "Definitely." Qin Yun hurriedly nodded as he continued to channel his inner force into Shui Yihui's body. Suddenly, the Dragon Fist Sect Master's shout came from outside. "Qin Yun, you good-for-nothing, hurry up and come out. You won't be able to hide inside for long. If nothing unexpected happens, the Violet Spirit Star Palace will be breached by us. When I capture your wife, Xiao Yuan, you will still fall into my hands. Ha ha." The Dragon Fist Sect Master only knew that the Violet Spirit Star Palace was missing 2 warriors of the Spirit Realm. He did not know that the 2 Spirit Realm cultivators had escorted Yang Shiyu and Xiao Yuan to the martial desolate land. "These guys, I will definitely kill them." Qin Yun is very angry. He grabbed the jade pendant tightly and closed his eyes to sense the information inside. This jade pendant could control the formation of the entire mysterious Silver Mountain. Within the mysterious Silver Mountain, there were many powerful formations. As long as one obtained that jade pendant, they would be able to control the activation of those formations. "Sister Lan, take good care of Elder Shui. I'll take a rest first before going out to kill those guys." Qin Yun sat in the middle of the hall and controlled the mysterious Silver Mountain's array formation. He gathered the 9 suns' spiritual energy for them to absorb. The 9 suns' spiritual energy in the hall immediately became extremely dense and colorful. The spiritual energy could be seen with the naked eye, like clouds and mist. Shui Yihui and Lan Fengjin were extremely excited to see this level of 9 suns' spiritual energy. "Master, are there many powerful formations in the mysterious Silver Mountain? Can attack the outside?" Lan Fengjin quickly asked. "Yes, I'll give it a try in a moment. Even if I can't kill those bastards, I have to let them know what pain is," Qin Yun said coldly. The Dragon Fist Spirit Sect was acting alone and did not join forces with other sections. It could be seen that they had made sufficient preparations to annex the Violet Spirit Star Palace and take down the Blue Spirit Star Palace. The strength of the Dragon Fist Sect leader was not the strongest in the Dragon Fist Sect. Those elders were the strongest in the Spirit Realm, and they had all gone to attack the Violet Spirit Star Palace. There were also some elders overseeing the Violet Spirit Star Palace. If they were to fight, the commotion would definitely not be small. "Qin Yun, not only do I want to capture your wife, I also want to kill my way to your Tianqin Empire. I want to kill all the people in the cities and use their corpses to feed the magical beasts. When the time comes, I will definitely capture your father and hang him here to beat him up, haha." The Dragon Fist Sect leader laughed loudly. Qin Yun was infuriated once again. He was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged. Shui Yihui scolded. "These bastards, they came to this borderland and did whatever they wanted. They're just a bunch of lackeys that were abandoned by the Xian sections. That's why they were arranged here." The Violet Spirit Star Palace and the Dragon Fist Sect were arranged to be at the edge of the city. The Xian sects behind them no longer needed to provide resources to these spirit sections. It was equivalent to losing power. They really think that they're the kings of the mountains after coming here. Just you wait. Qin Yun was filled with rage as he sat in a formation in the middle of the hall, activating the great formation of the mysterious Silver Mountain. In the sky above the ruined Blue Spirit Star Palace, the thick clouds suddenly dispersed. Intense sunlight shone down, enveloping the ruins. The mysterious silver mountain shone with a gold and silver light as it crazily absorbed the spiritual energy contained within the 9 suns. The earth suddenly shook. The people below the mysterious silver mountain did not know what was going on. Is this place going to collapse? Maybe those old things self-destructed their Tao cores just now and caused a huge earthquake. The Dragon Fist sect leader said, "Everyone, don't panic. We can't leave this place right now. If Qin Yin were to escape, we would have come here for nothing." Just as he finished speaking, he sensed a strong energy flowing underground. "There's something down there," someone shouted, quickly flowed into the air. They had just discovered something. Many places on the ground suddenly cracked open. Suddenly, a large rock arm stretched out and grabbed many people's feet. The Dragon Fist sect leader was immediately alarmed. He took out a golden saber and slashed at the rock arm beneath his feet. Bang! When the saber slashed at the hardstone arm, it actually failed to cut it off. Furthermore, it even caused a very strong energy wave to splash out. "This is a killing formation," the Dragon Fist sect leader roared. Just as he finished speaking, strands of electricity seeped out from the stone arm and poured into his body, causing him to cry out loudly from the electricity. This was the killing formation of the inscription gate that Qin Yun had activated. It was called the Earth Lightning Claw, and it was set up using star runes. The hundreds of people from the Dragon Fist sect were all grabbed by the Earth Lightning Claw. They were constantly being struck by the lightning that was being released. At this moment, they were all looking at the peak of the mysterious silver mountain. They discovered that the place was enveloped by a multicolored glow. The 9 suns' spiritual energy had turned into a mist that enveloped the top of the mountain. It was channeling energy to the mysterious silver mountain and activating the killing formation. This is the great formation of the inscription gate. The Dragon Fist sect leader cried out in pain. His body was constantly being infused with thunder and lightning power, causing him to feel incomparably numb from the electricity. At this moment, they were unable to mobilize their powerful strength. They also knew that the killing formation of the inscription gate was extremely terrifying. However, they never expected that it would be activated by Qin Yun. Just as they were feeling alarmed, they saw a person suddenly fly down from the top of the mountain. It was Qin Yun. Qin Yun was dressed in white, but his entire body was overflowing with black gas. "You bunch of bastards, you are courting death again and again. Since you are so eager to die, I will send you off." Qin Yun's cold voice was filled with boundless killing intent. It was as if it came from hell. The Dragon Fist sect leader was horrified. At this moment, they were trapped by the killing array and were unable to retaliate. This meant that they were about to be killed. "Qin Yun, we can discuss this. There's no need to fight to the death. I am the sect leader of the Dragon Fist Spirit Sect. I can promise you that the Dragon Fist Spirit Sect will merge with your Blue Spirit Star Palace." When the Dragon Fist Sect leader saw Qin Yun's murderous aura, his heart immediately turned cold as he hurriedly said. Qin Yun snorted coldly and slapped the Dragon Fist sect leader's face. "Cut the crap. You previously said that you wanted to capture my wife and destroy my Tianqin Empire. This is a death grudge." The disciples here were all the most outstanding ones in the Dragon Fist sect. They were filled with incomparable respect for their sect leader. However, at this moment, the sect leader that they revered had been slapped in the face. Bang! 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 Qin Yin used the 10,000 horse palm to whip the Dragon Fist sect leader crazily, causing him to scream in anger. The disciples of the Dragon Fist sect were all dumbfounded. That was the high and mighty sect leader in their hearts. To think that he would be beaten up in such a manner. The Dragon Fist sect leader's heart was filled with incomparable humiliation. He was at the spirit realm. If he wasn't trapped by the formation, he would have been able to kill Qin Yun with a single palm strike. He, who was humiliated to the extreme, was also terrified to the extreme. This was because it was not easy for him to cultivate to the spirit martial realm. As long as his luck was not too bad, he would be able to live for a long time. To be able to stand above tens of thousands of people in the sect, one could live a carefree life. But now, it was extremely likely that he would be killed by a young man who had just stepped into the martial Dao realm. Trash like you want to obtain the inheritance of the inscription gate? Dream on. Qin Yun sneered as he placed his palm on the abdomen of the Dragon Fist Sect Master. The Dragon Fist Sect Master let out a blood-curdling scream that pierced through the sky. It was extremely tragic. Those disciples can only see that a large hole has been ripped open on their sect master's abdomen, and a platinum pearl is being slowly sucked out by Qin Yun. It was a Dao core. There were 9 life marks on it, and the 9 life marks were squirming. The Dao core of the spirit martial realm was actually like this. Qin Yun also looked at the Dao core in curiosity and astonishment. There were 9 levels in the martial body realm, and each level required the formation of a life mark. The process was extremely difficult and long. After condensing 9 life marks and cultivating them into a spirit, the life marks would be able to move, and they would be at the spirit martial realm. The Dragon Fist Sect Master screamed in despair. This Dao core was his 1,000 years of cultivation, and it was taken out just like that. Qin Yun, you demon. If you hadn't come looking for trouble with me, you would have definitely been able to live a good life. You can't blame me for this. Qin Yun sneered before looking at the other 2 elders of the spirit realm. When the 2 elders of the spirit realm came into contact with Qin Yun's sharp gaze, their bodies could not help but tremble. Chapter 345. Lingwu Dao Pil. Qin Yun was very grateful to the formation of the inscription gate. It prevented these people from retaliating. He walked in front of an old man at the spirit martial realm and took out the Dao core, just like before. You, a demon like you will be hunted down by thousands of sects in a martial desolate. Taking out a martial artist Dao core is something that cannot be tolerated by the orthodox sections. You will be wanted by thousands of orthodox sects. The old man screamed. At the side, the Dragon Fist Sect Master seemed to have suddenly aged dozens of years. He said fiercely, Qin Yun, if this matter were spread, you would be viewed as a member of the demonic Dao. Humph, could it be that your actions have been acknowledged by the orthodox sects? If that was the case, then those orthodox sects weren't good people either. You bunch of beasts have slaughtered many of our Blue Spirit Star Palace disciples. If the orthodox sects want to protect you, then how are they different from the demonic sects? Qin Yun sneered as he drew the 3rd spirit martial Dao core. After a series of miserable screams, the last martial Dao realm Dao core was taken out by Qin Yun. The disciples of the Dragon Fist sect were immediately filled with incomparable despair and fear. Their previous swagger had disappeared without a trace. The might they had displayed when they slaughtered the Star Palace disciples had already been obliterated by despair. The 3 warriors of the spirit martial realm had all gone through 1,000 years of cultivation to have today's powerful strength. Only then could they do evil everywhere and bully the weak. But now all of this was destroyed. You should have experienced what retribution is. Qin Yun looked at the Dragon Fist Sect Master with a cold expression. They had done too much evil, but they had never suffered any retribution, so they never thought that they would fall. With a cold expression, Qin Yun walked towards the martial Dao realm cultivators. Immediately, they wailed, Qin Yun, let us go. We only killed a few Star Palace disciples. Is there a need to treat us like this? At most, we will capture a few hundred slaves for you. Those Star Palace disciples are all trash at the 6th or 7th level of the martial body realm. Yet, you want us to repay them with our lives. You are crazy. We will be your slaves. Don't take away our Dao cores. Qin Yun said coldly. It seems like you still don't know where you are wrong. With that, he fiercely took out a Dao core, causing the old man to howl in pain. The other martial Dao realm cultivators begged in despair as their Dao cores were taken away. Sister Lan, you can start now. Qin Yun shouted towards the top of the mountain. Lan Fengjin flew down from the top of the mountain with a long sword in her hand. She charged into the crowd and madly brandished her sword, crazily slashing at the group of Dragon Fist sect disciples. At this time, the three brothers who were hiding also rushed out. After obtaining Qin Yun's consent, they also went to kill the disciples of the Dragon Fist sect. "Don't worry, after I get rid of you, I will deal with the rest of you," Qin Yun said to the dying sect master, and then sent out a palm strike. "Ah!" That sect master screamed and was scared out of his mind. The other two warriors of the spirit realm were so terrified that their faces contorted. They regretted attacking Blue Spirit Star Palace, and they regretted attacking Qin Yun even more. "You guys can go on your way too." Qin Yun used the Heavenly Lion's Fighting Dragon Claw, and with a few swipes, he killed the two elders of the spirit realm. Following that, he charged towards the martial Dao realm cultivators and used the Six-Style Wind Slayer to continuously slash at them with his lion claws. Qin Yun recalled the elders who had self-destructed in order to save him. His killing intent immediately surged as he mercilessly killed them. The foot of the mysterious Silver Mountain was shrouded in cries of fear. However, it only lasted for a moment before it stopped. The Dragon Fist Spirit Sect, 3 at the Spirit Realm, more than 20 at the Martial Dao Realm, and hundreds of Martial Body disciples were all killed at the foot of the mysterious Silver Mountain. Qin Yun returned to the hall and controlled the array to retract it. As for Lan Fengjin and the 3 brothers, they were burning the corpses below. "Elder Shui, all the villains who attacked our Blue Spirit Star Palace are dead." Qin Yun looked at Shui Yihui, who was sitting on a chair, and felt very sad. Shui Yihui was extremely weak and could not hold on for more than a few days. That's good. Shui Yihui was also very happy. His wrinkled face was filled with a smile. Qin Yun recalled the Dao cores he had taken out and hurriedly said, "Elder Shui, you don't have any Dao cores, which is why you became like this. How about I put the Dao cores I obtained into your body? I don't know if it will work, but I can give it a try. I'm about to die anyway." Shui Yihui smiled. "Do whatever you want. This can also increase your experience in this area." Qin Yun took out the Dao cores of the martial Dao realm. The power that Shui Yihui's body could withstand was only at the martial Dao realm, so he could not use the Dao cores of the spirit realm. These Dao cores are all connected to Master Soul, and there are a lot of Master's various mental powers within them. The energy within these Dao cores is also very turbid. After Qin Yun inspected it, he frowned. He first extracted the martial spirits from the Dao cores one by one. Most of them were gold and platinum martial spirits. Shui Yihui's original martial spirit was a water martial spirit, and among those martial spirits, there was also a platinum water martial spirit. Qin Yun took out the furnace and placed all the Dao cores of the martial Dao realm inside. Then he used his powerful mental energy to sense the Dao cores. He wanted to remove the energy that entangled his soul and mind from the Dao cores. Only by doing so would he be able to obtain extremely pure energy. 80 to 90% of the energy within each Dao core carried the mental and soul power of the original owner. This was something that could not be used, so it was eliminated by Qin Yun. After he had selected and refined more than 20 Dao cores, there was only a small amount of inner force left within them. Under his control, he fused the 20 or so Dao cores together into a single Dao core. Then, he used the soul refining technique to fuse the platinum water martial spirit into it. There are no great Dao life marks. After Qin Yun finished refining, more than half a day had passed. Lan Fengjin and the 3 brothers were watching from the side. "Master, hurry up. Elder Shui can't hold on any longer," Lan Fengjin urged. Qin Yun gritted his teeth and placed the Dao core into Shui Yihui's mouth. Then, he used his mental energy to control the Dao core into his abdomen and then guided the Dao core's spiritual aura to pulse. After resting for a period of time, Shui Yihui's spirit gradually improved. "Elder Shui, try to control your 3 great scriptures and establish a connection with the Dao core." Qin Yun was slightly delighted as he hurriedly said. Shui Yihui had almost died just now. Now that he could open his eyes, They were no longer as turbid as before. They had become clear and bright, filled with traces of life. It's a success. Diao cried out in alarm. Master, you're too awesome. You actually gave Elder Shui a new Dao core. Lan Fengjin also laughed in pleasant surprise. Shui Yihui felt his body gradually regain its vitality. Waves of pure energy came out from his dantian, nourishing his dying body, causing him to feel his strength gradually recovering. He also tried to control his 3 great scriptures and connect them with a new Dao core. Sister Lan, Triple Radiance, wait for me here. I'll go take a look at the Violet Spirit Star Palace. Qin Yun said, the Violet Spirit Star Palace is very strong. If they are destroyed, this border area will be occupied by the Wind Spirit Sect and the Floating Spirit Valley. These 2 sects are not good people either. Lan Fengjin nodded and said, Master, be careful. Qin Yun flew from the peak of the mysterious Silver Mountain towards the Violet Spirit Star Palace. As he flew high in the sky and neared the Violet Spirit Star Palace, he sensed a very strong aura rising from below and covering the top of the Violet Spirit Star Palace. Qin Yun was no stranger to this aura. It belonged to Zi Qingsheng. Zi Qingsheng was fighting with someone at the Spirit Martial Realm. Have they been fighting for more than half a day? From high up in the sky, Qin Yun saw that the area within a radius of dozens of miles of the Violet Spirit Star Palace was riddled with potholes. Sure enough, in front of the main entrance of the Violet Spirit Star Palace, there were hundreds of disciples wearing golden dragon robes. They were all from the Dragon Fist sect. There are also 3 people at the spirit realm here, and they're at the Doyen level. Qin Yun sensed the aura below and said with a frown, on the side of the Violet Spirit Star Palace, there's only Zi Qingqing's aura. Could it be that she's fighting 1 against 3? He took a closer look and saw that Zi Qingsheng was engaged in an intense battle with a golden-haired old man. Every time they made a move, it would cause a huge commotion. It would set off waves of violent winds that seemed to be able to tear apart the world. The people from the Dragon Fist sect here don't seem to know that their sect leader has been killed by me. Qin Yun watched from the sky. He did not know what was going on. He only saw that Zi Qingsheng was sparring with an old man. Qin Yun thought of Lan Chun. Back then, Lan Chun had lost to Zi Qingsheng in a martial arts competition. As a result, he had lost control of the Blue Spirit Star Palace. He guessed that the battle between Zi Qingsheng and the old man might also decide the fate of the Violet Spirit Star Palace. Zi Qingsheng suddenly let out a stern shout as a purple gold light flashed behind her. A purple gold rock flew out from the purple gold light and let out a clear cry. It was Zi Qingqing's martial spirit, the purple gold rock. The purple gold rock spread its wings for dozens of meters. It was extremely huge, and after flying out, it charged towards the old man at the spirit realm at lightning speed. The old man did not expect that Zi Qingsheng would release her martial spirit to fight. Furthermore, the rock's flying speed was extremely fast, like a violent bolt of lightning. The purple gold rock flew over, and its sharp beak smashed apart the defensive light screen that the old man had released. Bang! The old man's body was ruthlessly struck by the purple gold rock. He landed on the ground and created a deep crater. His body cracked, and the armor on his body was also destroyed. He lay on the ground and fainted. Zi Qingsheng panted slightly as she retracted her martial spirit. A guy at the spirit realm is indeed powerful. The martial spirit he released is actually so terrifying. Qin Yun yearned for this kind of power. He thought of Xie Wufeng's sword. It seemed to be in such a powerful state. Zi Qingsheng was also tired. She slowly landed on the ground, and her slightly round face was ice cold. You've lost. According to the agreement, your Dragon Fist sect will be merged into our Violet Spirit Star Palace. There were 2 old men at the spirit realm here. When they heard Zi Qingqing's words, they laughed out loud. We are not the sect leader. How can we decide such a thing? Zi Qingsheng, you are too naive. Chapter 346. The sect leader exploded. When Qin Yun saw the disgusted expression on Zi Qingqing's face, he knew what she was feeling. Mistress, we will close the formation and let you in. On the wall of the Violet Spirit Star Palace, an old woman hurriedly shouted. Please don't. Once the formation is activated, they will definitely attack. We've fallen into a trap. Zi Qingqing shouted anxiously. Don't close the formation. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed when he heard that. Zi Qingqing came out to accept the challenge. She thought that would be fine as long as she won, but she didn't expect the other party to be so sinister. Now, she had won, but she had also expended a lot of energy. As for the Dragon Fist Spirit Sect, there were still two very strong Spirit Realm cultivators. Ha ha, little girl, you are a few hundred years younger than me, but you have the same cultivation level as us. Furthermore, you can stay young forever. How enviable. The wretched hunchbacked old man laughed sinisterly and took out a black wolf teeth club. Zi Qingqing gritted her teeth and hurriedly soared into the sky. She wanted to escape from this place, but she was struck down by another one-eyed old man with a punch. How despicable of you. Aren't you afraid that the higher-ups will find out? Zi Qingqing said angrily. The hunchbacked old man laughed loudly and said, We are all abandoned sects. They don't care if we live or die here. He even hopes that we will kill each other. This way, the winner will become stronger and be able to concentrate his strength to search for clues to the immortal graveyard. The one-eyed old man sneered. Zi Qingqing, since you obtained Xiao Yuan, you must have grasped the clues to the immortal graveyard. Do you want to head to the immortal graveyard alone and seize the immortal treasures inside? Zi Qingqing hurriedly swallowed a golden pellet. She had to quickly recover her energy, or else she would definitely be taken down. Palace Master, do you want us to go out? An old woman shouted worriedly. No, don't come out. You are the last guarantee of the Violet Spirit Star Palace. Zi Qingqing shouted sternly. I'm the Palace Master. You must listen to my orders. No matter what, you cannot close the formation, nor can you come out. All of you must protect the Violet Spirit Star Palace. Zi Qingqing's expression was resolute, as if she was prepared for the worst. She, who was exhausted, had no chance of winning against two powerful spirit martial realm martial artists. Let's see how long you can last. The hunchbacked old man sneered and flew over. He quickly waved the wolf teeth rod in his hand. That was a Xian artifact. The power it released was extremely terrifying, causing the soil on the ground to fly up. The one-eyed old man also attacked. His weapon was a long trident. He rushed over from behind and stabbed at Zi Qingqing. The weapons Zi Qingqing used were two long purple hooks, which were also Xian artifacts. The old woman on the door scolded, Dragon Fist Spirit Sect, you guys are fighting two against one, and you even took advantage of the time when people are tired to attack. How shameless. So what if I'm shameless? You old hag, just you wait. It won't be long before I strip off your palace master and let all the disciples enjoy her. The hunchbacked old man laughed sinisterly. The disciples of the Dragon Fist Spirit Sect also shouted excitedly. Zi Qingqing was furious. Moreover, she had been hit a few times, and her injuries were not light. Her purple dress was dyed red with blood. The old women from the Violet Spirit Star Palace were also incomparably furious and sad. This was because they could not help their palace mistress when she was being humiliated outside. Previously, when Qin Yun saw the disciples of the Dragon Fist sect humiliating a woman on the battling platform in the Violet Spirit Star Palace, he knew that this sect was not a good thing. Now, even the strongest elders of the Dragon Fist sect were of the same character. This group of fellows still claim to be from an orthodox sect. Perhaps even the devil sect isn't as vicious as them. Qin Yun sneered his heart as he took out a Dao core of the spirit realm. The moment this Dao core appeared, it emitted waves of aura. When the hunchbacked old man and the one-eyed old man sensed this aura, their faces were filled with joy. As for Zi Qingqing, her expression suddenly changed. It was filled with despair. The sect leader is here. It looks like he has already taken down the Blue Spirit Star Palace. Zi Qingsheng, you slut, just surrender. Don't hurt your body, otherwise how will we enjoy it? It really is the aura of the sect leader. The pure and clean Violet Spirit Palace mistress will soon be ours. Ha ha! The disciples of the Dragon Fist Spirit sect all laughed sinisterly, causing Zi Qingsheng to feel angry and disgusted. Boom! Zi Qingsheng was unable to do as she wished and was also extremely tired. She was accidentally hit by the Wolf Teeth Club and was sent flying. The disciples of the Violet Spirit Star Palace who were standing on the wall looked at Zi Qingsheng, who had fallen to the ground with tears streaming down their faces. The hunchbacked old man and the one-eyed old man originally wanted to go over, but when they sensed their sect leader's aura approaching Zi Qingsheng, they stopped. Sect leader, I'll leave it to you in the end. Sect leader, you really came at the right time. We just beat that slut to the ground, and you came over to take advantage of her, huh? Just as the two elders of the spirit realm finished speaking, they saw a white-clothed Qin Yun land beside Zi Qingsheng. Zi Qingsheng also thought that the Dragon Fist sect leader had come, because she could sense the aura of the Dragon Fist sect leader. However, she never expected that the person who had come was actually Qin Yun. Elder, that fellow is Qin Yun. Why does he have the aura of the sect leader? Qin Yun, what's that in your hand? When the hunchbacked old man saw the golden bead in Qin Yun's hand, he cried out involuntarily. Zi Qingsheng also saw the shining bead in Qin Yun's hand. It was a Dao core. On the wall, the few old women at the martial Dao realm from the Violet Spirit Star Palace were all shocked. What Qin Yun held in his hand was the Dao core of the Dragon Fist sect leader. That meant that the Dragon Fist sect leader had been killed by Qin Yun. As for Qin Yun, he was only at the martial Dao realm. He was actually able to kill someone at the spirit realm, and even took out such a complete Dao core. This immediately shocked the entire audience. Everyone looked at the shining bead and fell into a momentary daze. Huh! The disciples of the Dragon Fist Spirit sect let out a sorrowful cry. Sect leader's Dao core. The sect leader is dead. How is this possible? Qin Yun killed the sect leader. The sect leader is at the spirit realm. Even someone at the spirit realm would not be able to kill him easily. This is not true. Quickly kill him. Elders, quickly kill him and avenge the sect leader. The disciples of the Dragon Fist Spirit sect cried out in grief and indignation as if they had lost their parents. They could not believe that this was true. Qin Yun looked at the two elders and smiled coldly. Don't be sad. I'll return the sect leader to you right now. Take it. Don't let your sect leader explode. With that, he hurriedly picked up Zi Qingsheng and poured a wave of energy into the spirit martial Dao core before throwing it out. Run. The hunchbacked old man was at the spirit realm, but he could not stand the explosion of a spirit realm Dao core. Boom! The Dao core exploded, releasing a large amount of golden light. It created a golden astral wind that enveloped an area of a few hundred miles. The people who were enveloped within screamed miserably. A martial artist of the martial body realm was torn to shreds. The people in the Violet Spirit Star Palace were not affected due to the protection of the Great Formation. However, they were still shocked by that terrifying power. After a while, the world quietened down and the thick dust dispersed. In front of the entrance of the Violet Spirit Star Palace, there was a huge crater. There were still more than 20 people alive in this deep pit. There was not a single piece of flesh on their bodies that was unharmed. Most of them had their hands and feet torn apart. It was a tragic sight. Even the two cultivators of the spirit martial realm were struggling in the ground and wailing. They were both seriously injured. Palace Master, Qin Yun, the old woman on the wall shouted. Ha! They're also dead. The hunchbacked old man spat out a mouthful of blood as he spoke. The hearts of the people from the Violet Spirit Star Palace trembled as they looked at the huge pit that was a few hundred meters wide in grief. They looked at the flat ground around the huge pit as they searched for Qin Yun and Zi Qingsheng. Don't shout, they're all dead. The one-eyed old man laughed and said, although we're seriously injured, we're still alive, huh? Just as he finished speaking, he sensed movement underground. Voila! A shadow flew up from the ground. It was Qin Yun. He carried Zi Qingsheng and rushed into the sky from the ground. When he landed, he ruthlessly stomped on the hunchbacked old man's abdomen. The hunchbacked old man's blood-curdling screams pierced through the clouds, sending chills down one's spine. Qin Yun had been carrying Zi Qingsheng earlier. Then, he used the Earth Escape Talisman to hide deep underground. He was not affected. "Put me down," Zi Qingsheng said softly. "I'm feeling better." After Qin Yun put her down, he fiercely stomped on the hunchbacked elder a few more times, causing the elder's voice to turn hoarse. When the martial Dao realm disciples of the Dragon Fist sect saw this scene, they felt extreme despair. Even their elders of the spirit martial realm were ravaged by Qin Yun. The consequences for them could be imagined. "Qin Yun, you little bastard." Before the one-eyed elder could finish cursing, Qin Yun had already sent him flying with a kick. Then, he grabbed him through the air and placed him together with the hunchbacked elder. He took out the giant King Spirit Hammer and used the six-style forging dragon, constantly hammering the two spirit realm cultivators. A martial artist of the spiritual martial realm would not die so easily. Qin Yun continuously struck them with the six-style forging dragon, causing them to scream miserably. The martial Dao realm and spirit martial realm elders of the Violet Spirit Star Palace also came out. They stood beside the crater and stared blankly at Qin Yun. Their hearts were filled with extreme shock. The young Qin Yun was actually able to beat up a powerful spirit realm cultivator. Zi Qingsheng was also watching from the side. Her beautiful eyes widened. Even she was somewhat astonished as she secretly feared Qin Yun's ability. "The Dao core has shattered. It's useless." Qin Yun curled his lips inwardly as he extracted the martial spirits of the two elders. They were both platinum martial spirits. One was a staff martial spirit, and the other was a cross martial spirit. After the martial spirit was extracted, even those at the spirit realm were half dead. Qin Yun took out a furnace and placed the two elders at the spirit realm into it to be incinerated. "Qin Yun, leave those martial Dao realm cultivators to us," a middle-aged woman suddenly said before flying over. Chapter 347. Purple Fairy Ponzi Qingsheng looked around. Originally, there were many trees planted outside, but now it had become a mess. She recalled the thrilling experience just now and felt a lingering fear in her heart. She had almost died. Qin Yun also went over and extracted the martial Dao realm martial spirits one by one. Although they were all relatively weak martial spirits, they could be preserved for a long time. They might even be useful in the future. "Qin Yun, you were also injured just now, right? Come with me." After Zi Qingsheng finished speaking, she immediately grabbed Qin Yun's hand, worried that he would run away. Qin Yun was indeed quite tired. Although he ran very fast, he was still affected a little. "Where to?" he asked. "I'll take you to heal your injuries." Zi Qingsheng pulled Qin Yun and floated in the air. There was a small lake in the center of the Violet Spirit Star Palace. On the small island in the middle of the lake, there were many purple flowers and trees. It was a very beautiful purple garden. In the garden, there was a 3-story pavilion. This was Zi Qingsheng's Qingsheng Pavilion. Zi Qingsheng led Qin Yun into the first level. After passing through a few corridors, they walked down a staircase that led underground. Not long after, they arrived at a stone room filled with gentle white light. In the stone room, there was a round pool that was 5 to 6 meters wide. The water in the pool was purple, and it was emitting a purple mist. "Sister Steam Bun, I seem to have saved you twice, right?" Qin Yun stood beside the pool and said with a smile. Zi Qingsheng snorted. "Don't call me Sister Steam Bun. Sister Steam Bun, Sister Steam Bun, Sister Steam Bun." Qin Yun insisted on calling her. Furthermore, he called her a few times, causing her to stomp her feet in anger. "That's right, you did save me twice. Then now, I will repay you by letting you enter my violet immortal pond." Zi Qingsheng pointed at the pond and said. Qin Yun looked at the pool and said with a frown, "Is this purple immortal pool very powerful?" "Of course it's powerful. The reason why I can't look old is because of this purple immortal pond. Not only can it heal injuries, but it can also temper the body." Zi Qingcheng said proudly, "This is my secret." "Where did this water come from?" Qin Yun asked again. "Don't worry about it. Are you going down or not?" Zi Qingcheng snorted. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, "I want to take off my clothes. You turn around." Zi Qingcheng blushed and quickly turned around. She only turned around when she heard a pudong sound. "How do you feel?" she asked quickly. Qin Yun sensed it slightly and discovered that the energy in the purple immortal pool was extremely special. It was a type of nine suns spiritual energy. Although it was only a single type of nine suns spiritual energy, after it was condensed into a liquid, it had a very significant contribution. Some of the hidden injuries in his body and his exhausted body quickly recovered after absorbing the energy from the purple celestial pool. Moreover, he also felt that his body was numb, warm, and comfortable. His flesh and blood were being strengthened. Not bad. He sighed comfortably and closed his eyes. Not long after he closed his eyes, he felt the ripples in the purple immortal pool. He quickly opened his eyes and saw Zi Qingcheng soaking in the pool. She only revealed her snow-white shoulders, but it made one's imagination run wild. How could you do this? This is too shameless." Qin Yun was stunned for a moment before he hurriedly said, "It took me 100 years to collect this purple immortal's due. Of course I have to come down as well." When Zi Qingcheng saw Qin Yun's disdainful expression, she could not help but have a face full of hidden bitterness. Qin Yun warned with a serious expression, "Sister Steam Bun, don't come over and touch me. To think that you are so pure and clean, to think that you would be so brazenly in the same pool as me. Are you wearing any clothes?" Zi Qingcheng was so angry that she bared her teeth and said, "I'm not wearing anything. What's wrong?" "Ah, then don't act recklessly." Qin Yun hurriedly shrank into a corner. "You little brat, seriously? I was worried that you would act recklessly." Zi Qingcheng snorted and turned her head away, no longer looking at him. Qin Yun said with a serious expression, "Sister Steam Bun, are you trying to seduce me?" When Zi Qingcheng heard that, she hurriedly said, "What are you thinking? Quickly close your eyes and absorb the energy of the purple immortal dew." Qin Yun did not say anything else. He clamped his legs together and shyly shrunk into a corner. He even closed his eyes vigilantly. When Zi Qingcheng saw his appearance, she could not help but giggle. She asked with a charming smile, "Little rascal, you can't still be a fledgling, right? I am as pure as ice and as clean as jade. Naturally, I can't compare to an experienced steamed bun like you." Qin Yun snorted. "Don't talk nonsense. All these years, only you have seen me." Zi Qingcheng thought of that matter and spat. When Qin Yun heard that, he became even more worried. He rolled his eyes at Zi Qingcheng and said, "Then why are you still laughing at me? You're a 1,000-year-old leftover woman." "Damn, brat, don't talk nonsense. I'm not even 1,000 years old." Zi Qingcheng hurriedly splashed some water at Qin Yun. Qin Yun closed his eyes and ignored Zi Qingcheng. He calmly absorbed the energy of the purple immortal pond. After more than 20 hours, he opened his eyes and saw that the pool of water had turned transparent. Zi Qingcheng also stood up from the pool and walked up. Qin Yun widened his eyes as he looked at her. "You lied to me. You actually put on your clothes and came down." Qin Yun harumphed. Zi Qingcheng only used a purple cloth to wrap her chest and waist. However, one could still see her slender, jade-like legs. "Disappointed, aren't you?" Zi Qingcheng said with a pleased smile. "Damn steam bun." Qin Yun hurriedly stood up and put on his clothes. He felt that his body had become much stronger. He had just stepped into the martial Dao realm. After soaking in the purple immortal dew, it also helped him consolidate his cultivation. What surprised him was that the star crystal in his mind had turned silver. This meant that his mental strength had increased by a lot. "Sister Steam Bun, Your purple immortal dew seems to be able to increase your mental strength. How did you do it? Qin Yun hurriedly asked. Secret. When Zi Qingcheng saw the joy on Qin Yun's face, she said, Originally, I could soak myself for more than 10 days. It hasn't even been a day since you came in. Then let me know the next time you make it. Let's continue. Qin Yun chuckled. That will depend on whether or not we are fated. Because this will happen 100 years later. In 100 years, many things can happen. Zi Qingcheng sighed softly and led Qin Yun out. Qin Yun's star crystal was originally a transparent crystal, but now it had turned silver. This meant that he had improved greatly. It was also because he had absorbed a large portion of the purple immortal dew's energy. Qin Yun, in a few days, the two old grannies who escorted you well on will be back. At that time, I will cross the martial desolate with you. Zi Qingcheng brought Qin Yun to the living room above and said, Qin Yun had wanted to go to the martial desolate for a long time. He nodded repeatedly. I'll go with Sister Lan. Zi Qingcheng said, Are you staying here, or are you going back to the mysterious Silver Mountain first? I'm going back. Qin Yun said, Before I leave, let me pinch your little bun face. No, hurry up and leave. When Zi Qingcheng heard that, she said somewhat angrily, I've saved you twice. It's a life-saving grace. Qin Yun stuck out his tongue. Good people don't get rewarded. All right then, pinch it. Zi Qingcheng thought about it. If Qin Yun had not saved her twice, the consequences would have been dire. Qin Yun chuckled as he extended his hands to rub Zi Qingcheng's beautiful, slightly round face. After rubbing it for a while, he finally stopped in satisfaction. You little rascal. Zi Qingcheng's face turned red from being pinched. She rolled her eyes at Qin Yun and said angrily, Hurry up and leave. Qin Yun chuckled as he whistled and flew towards the entrance of the Violet Spirit Star Palace. When Qin Yun returned to the mysterious Silver Mountain, the sky gradually darkened. Shui Yihui sat cross-legged in the hall of the inscription gate, absorbing a large amount of Nine Suns' spiritual energy. His complexion had become much better, and the wrinkles on his face had magically disappeared. Unfortunately, this great formation can only be activated once every 10 years, Qin Yun said with some regret. The activation of a great formation had a certain amount of time. The main thing was to accumulate enough energy. This process was very long. Shui Yihui sighed and said, I'm already very satisfied to be able to keep my life. Thank you, sect leader. You're welcome. If it wasn't for Elder Shui's help, I might have been finished. Qin Yun smiled before taking out a piece of paper and handing it to Shui Yihui. Lan Fengjin was also here. She leaned over to take a look and read the words on it. Star Underworld, Sun View, Heart Firm, Spirit Condensed Star. The 9 suns are different, the divine abilities are myriad. The sun god's soul flying, the divine abilities enter the body. After she finished reading, she said in surprise, Isn't this the mantra left behind by Patriarch Lan Shao to fool us for thousands of years? Qin Yun smiled. This is true. It's called the Star Yang Heart Sutra, but you guys have yet to comprehend it. Shui Yihui clearly remembered that when he first met Qin Yun had obtained these 2 chants. However, at that time, he had also said that this was a joke made by Patriarch Lan Shao. The Blue Spirit Star Palace had already been destroyed, so all that was left was the inscription gate. Those who could still stay here were all loyal and devoted to the Blue Spirit Star Palace. Qin Yun felt that Shui Yihui and company were qualified to comprehend the Star Yang Heart Sutra. Shui Yihui, the 3 brothers, and Lan Fengjin all looked at Qin Yun in surprise. I've only comprehended the first sentence, but I've benefited a lot from it. Qin Yun smiled and began to talk about his understanding of the first sentence, as well as the need to cultivate a primordial spirit in order to cultivate the Star Refining Spirit chapter. This caused Lan Fengjin and company to be stunned. Finally, Qin Yun also mentioned the mysterious trial path of the inscription gate, causing Shui Yihui and company to exclaim in surprise. Qin Yun stood at the entrance of the cave and looked at the ruins of the Blue Spirit Star Palace. He also mentioned what had happened at the entrance of the Violet Spirit Star Palace yesterday. The fact that so many of the Dragon Fist Spirit Sect's Spirit Martial Realm had been annihilated made Shui Yihui very happy. This meant that in the following period of time, the Violet Spirit Star Palace would be the strongest. Even if the Floating Spirit Valley and the Wind Spirit Sect joined forces, they would still not be a match for the Violet Spirit Star Palace. Elder Shui, Triple Radiance. I'm preparing to go to the Martial Desolate. I'll leave this inscription gate to you guys. I'll refine a jade pendant for you to enter and exit the hall. Qin Yun said. Shui Yihui nodded. You can only grow faster if you go to the Martial Desolate. I'm going to rest. You guys properly comprehend the Star Yang Heart Sutra. It won't be too late to cultivate the mental cultivation method after you cultivate your primordial spirit. After Qin Yun finished speaking, he entered a secret chamber. Now he finally had the time to break through the formation of the second bead of the 9 Yang Divine Spirit. Chapter 348. 348 Chapter 348 Mysterious Pill Scripture in a Stone Room. Qin Yun permeated his mental energy into the second bead. Soon, he saw the formation that was blocking his mental energy from advancing. If it was before, it would have taken him a lot of time to break through this formation. But now, after soaking in the purple immortal dew, his spirit star crystal had become much stronger, causing his mental energy to advance by leaps and bounds. In less than half a day's time, he had used his silver-colored mental force to break through the array. Qin Yun was immediately excited as he checked the space inside the second bead. The second bead space was not big. It was only the size of a small room, and there was only one book inside. With a thought, he took out the book and held it in his hand. This book was golden in color and had a total of more than 100 pages. Each page was made from a very thin golden bee skin. From this, it could be seen that the content recorded in it was extremely important. Qin Yun flipped through it and was alarmed. There were actually many pill formulas recorded in this book. They were all Xian pill formulas. Not only were there pill formulas, there were also detailed records of the required medicinal herbs and their cultivation experiences. Other than the pill formulas, it also recorded the refining methods of the utensils needed to refine medicine. Qin Yun had also heard that refining pills and medicines required a certain level of foundation in refining inscriptions. This could be used to refine different medicinal herbs into the corresponding utensils, allowing one to quickly refine pills and medicines. These utensils all need to be engraved with star or moon runes needed to refine medicine. This book has all of them. Qin Yun's heart skipped a beat. One had to know that the alchemy runes needed to refine pills were only royal grade spirit runes or Xian runes. As for the alchemy runes in the mysterious pill scripture, there were both star runes and moon runes. The required medicinal herbs are not easy to find. I can only go to the Martial Desolate Land and start again. As he flipped through the book, a very thin token suddenly fell out. It was only a little thicker than paper, but it was extremely sturdy and golden in color. Ancient Garden Pass. When Qin Yun saw the words on it, he did not know what the ancient garden meant. He could only ask about it in the future. He opened the second bead, and his harvest was great. Pills were necessary for one's cultivation to increase. Alchemists and inscriptionists were equally respected. After Qin Yun came out of the secret chamber, he made a trip to the Tianqin Empire's imperial palace and found Qin Long. Father, I'm preparing to go to the Martial Desolate. Qin Yun said, When are you going? I plan to wait a little longer. Let's wait until the situation here stabilizes. Qin Long patted Qin Yun on the shoulder. Little Yun, you're not even 20 years old, and you're already in the Martial Dao realm. I don't have to worry about you. If you go to the Martial Desolate, you must always be on guard against Totem Pavilion. Totem Pavilion? What does it do? Qin Yun asked immediately. Qin Long's voice was cold, and he said solemnly, They specialize in collecting totem patterns. If you have a totem on your arm, they will chop it off. If you have a totem in your heart, They will dig out your heart. If you have a totem on your face, they will behead you. Isn't this an existence from the fiend sect? Qin Yun exclaimed. No. It was said that Totem Pavilion was spread throughout the magical desolate, demon desolate, and martial desolate. Furthermore, they are very powerful. Many king-level sects have close cooperation with Totem Pavilion. Qin Long warned, when you go to the martial desolate, you must pay extra attention. There are very few people who know about Totem Pavilion. This is a very mysterious existence. Qin Long also had a totem, and it was a mysterious dragon totem. All right, you just need to pay attention. In the future, we father and son will definitely meet in the martial desolate. Qin Long smiled. Don't worry, go and see the vast world of martial arts. Qin Yun nodded. He was also overwhelmed with emotions. When he thought of the grand world of the martial desolate, he wished he could immediately go and experience it. All right, this is something that an old man called Wu Xiang gave me. Qin Long took out a large box and handed it to Qin Yun. Qin Yun opened it and was slightly delighted. It's Xian Yuan steel iron. It can refine Xian Yuan steel and is something needed to refine Xian artifacts. Your friend is quite powerful too. Qin Long chuckled. Qin Yun put away the box of Xian Yuan steel iron. He wanted to give Qin Long some beast oil, but Qin Long did not want it. In the end, the father and son duo had a few good drinks before saying their goodbyes. Qin Yun felt that his father definitely knew something about the immortal graveyard. He just did not say it out loud. Qin Yun returned to the mysterious Silver Mountain and quickly refined a few jade pendants. He gave them to Shui Yihui and Triple Radiance so that they could enter and exit the hall and activate some array formations. Zi Qingsheng had already arrived outside the cave at the top of the mysterious Silver Mountain. She was wearing light purple clothes and pants. She did not have any gorgeous headgear on her head. However, she had two beautiful purple earrings, and a headband she used to tie her ponytail was also purple. Her current attire was very refreshing and simple. She looked full of youthful energy, like a very lively little girl. Lan Fengjin, on the other hand, was dressed in a fiery hot outfit. She wore light blue shorts that revealed her sexy waist. She wore a short-sleeved shirt that was extremely fiery hot. The first time Qin Yun saw her, she was dressed like this. In the past 2 days, we've already gone to take care of the remnants of the Dragon Fist sect. We've wiped them all out. Zi Qingsheng said when she saw Qin Yun come out. Is there still a spirit martial realm in the Dragon Fist sect? Qin Yun asked. No more. There are more than 10 people in the martial Dao realm, but they have all been killed by us. Zi Qingsheng took out her purple gold carriage and opened the door for Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin to enter. When Shui Yihui saw that Zi Qingsheng was accompanying him to the martial desolate land, he felt much more at ease. Qin Yun, don't worry. When I have time, I will visit the Tianqin Empire more often. Shui Yihui waved his hand and bid farewell to Qin Yun. My lord, the next time you come back, we will definitely become stronger. Diao laughed. Du Gui also agreed to accept the 3 brothers as his students and guide them in their cultivation of mental energy. All right, we'll meet again. Qin Yun shouted. Zi Qingsheng controlled the carriage and flew into the depths of the Cloud Dragon mountain range. The Cloud Dragon River roared and roared as it became more and more turbulent. Even though Qin Yun and company were sitting in the carriage, they could still hear the furious roar of the waves below. Lan Fengjin looked out of the window and said faintly, I wonder if grandfather and the others are going to the martial desolate land or to investigate the immortal graveyard. They should be going to the martial desolate land. Zi Qingqing asked, Fengjin, do you plan on following Qin Yun? Of course, he's my master. If I don't follow him, who should I follow? Lan Fengjin said as she looked at Qin Yun with a gentle smile. Zi Qingcheng said, I have a few friends in the spirit realm in the martial desolate land. They are all women, and they have quite a high status in the Xin sections. Do you want to follow them? Lan Fengjin looked at Qin Yun and did not immediately make a decision. Qin Yun asked Sister Steamed Bun, did you send Yuel on and the others to a Xin sect? Moon Profound Valley. When you go to the martial desolate land, you will know that this is a very powerful place. Zi Qingshang said. It's actually the Moon Profound Valley. That is a Xian sect that can be ranked in the top 10 in the martial desolate land. Furthermore, they are all women. Lan Fengjin said in surprise. She also felt some yearning. Qin Yun said with a smile, Sister Lan, do you want to go as well? I'm a little bit, because I heard that there is a cultivation technique that is suitable for women to cultivate. It can allow women to advance by leaps and bounds and maintain their youth forever. Lan Fengjin said, I can arrange for you to enter. Zi Qingshang chuckled. So Sister Steam Bun is from a Moon Profound Valley, but she was chased out. Qin Yun chuckled. Zi Qingshang hurriedly glared at Qin Yun. After all, this was her disgraceful past. Lan Fengjin also found it strange. Why did Qin Yun call Zi Qingshang Sister Steam Bun? However, she did not ask. She only asked curiously, Sister Qingshang, why were you chased out? Because she often steals food and grows too fat. She shames the Moon Profound Valley, so she was chased out. Qin Yun said with a laugh. Look at her face. It looks like a bun. Zi Qingshang snorted. You little rascal. Do you believe that I won't throw you out right now? Lan Fengjin could not help but laugh and said, Sister Qingshang is not fat. It's just that her face is a little round. Not long after the carriage flew over the Cloud Dragon River, a low roar suddenly came from outside. Qin Yun hurriedly retracted the smile on his face and opened the window to look outside. Did I hear wrongly? I heard something roaring just now. Qin Yun asked. We have crossed the Cloud Dragon River now. There are many powerful demonic beasts and magical beasts here. Zi Qingqing's expression was solemn as she hurriedly controlled the carriage to enter the clouds and hide. Lan Fengjin said, Master, you didn't hear wrongly. I also heard the roar just now. This kind of beast voice is very scary. Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin looked at the solemn Zi Qingqing. Sister Qingsheng, what kind of beast is that? Lan Fengjin asked softly. I'm not sure, unless I can hear it again. Just as Zi Qingsheng finished speaking, the roar sounded out again. Hearing this sound, Zi Qingqing's expression suddenly changed. She hurriedly controlled the carriage to land in the forest below and hid in the crown of a huge tree. Seeing her reaction, Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin knew that the beast that had roared was extremely terrifying. What is it? Qin Yun asked hurriedly. It's a dragon. Zi Qingsheng was so scared that her face turned pale. I've heard the sounds of many ancient beasts from some of the sound shells left behind from ancient times, and the dragon's roar is the easiest to remember. I can't remember it wrong. Lan Fengjin's face was also filled with shock. Her eyes revealed a look of fear. This Cloud Dragon Mountain range is hiding a dragon. It seems like it's not a legend. Let's wait and see. We'll leave after the sound is gone. Zi Qingsheng let out a long sigh. I hope we don't meet them, or we'll be killed by the dragon. How strong is the dragon? Just as Qin Yun finished asking, the dragon's roar suddenly sounded out. This time, the sound was even stronger, causing the leaves to shake. Zi Qingsheng said solemnly, I don't know. In short, it's very strong. It's definitely not something I can deal with. I don't know what's going on, but there really is a dragon. A beast of this level should not appear here. The dragon's roar continued, but it gradually weakened. Chapter 349. Immortal Tomb. I didn't look at the day before I left. Why am I so unlucky? A real dragon has appeared in the Cloud Dragon Mountain range. Zi Qingqing muttered worriedly. Qin Yun was also somewhat alarmed. The commotion just now was not small. They could clearly sense the dragon's aura, bringing with it a very hot wind. More than 2 hours had passed. Zi Qingsheng said with some joy, I don't think I've heard any dragon roars in these 2 hours. Could it be that the dragon has gone far away? Lan Fengjin took out a set of blue armor and quickly put it on in the carriage, wrapping around her voluptuous body. It looks like it won't be easy for us to pass through the Cloud Dragon Mountain range. Lan Fengjin was also prepared for battle. Qin Yun sighed and said, I hope we can reach the martial desolate safely. Although Sister Lan and I are both in the martial Dao realm, the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range is becoming more and more restless. There are more and more powerful things. Zi Qingcheng thought for a moment and said, We won't be flying in the air. We'll be in the forest and walk through the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range. This will be safer. It's easier to be discovered by the dragon in the air. Qin Yun and Lan Fengji nodded. Zi Qingcheng was at the spirit realm. Even if she encountered a very strong demon beast, she would be able to deal with it. After they walked out of the carriage, Zi Qingcheng put away the carriage and quickly ran through the forest. Inside, there were many poisonous insects, snakes, flowers, and thorns. However, to martial Dao realm cultivators, they were nothing. Only powerful magical beasts or demon beasts could pose a threat to them. As Zi Qingcheng ran, she said in a low voice, As far as I know, there are quite a few powerful warriors who have entered the martial desolate land. During this period of time, there's been some movement in the immortal graveyard, which is why many people have come to investigate. Movement? Could it be that the immortal graveyard has been discovered? Lan Fengjin said in surprise. I don't know yet. It's just that the Feng Shui Grandmaster saw some clues and said that the immortal tomb inside has attracted the heaven and earth Yuan Qi or something. Zi Qingcheng shook her head. In short, what did the Feng Shui Grandmasters say? Qin Yun was somewhat worried that someone would find the immortal graveyard because it contained a secret regarding Siekaru. Furthermore, the souls of him, Xiao Yuelon and Qi Malian's mother were all in the immortal graveyard. Rumor has it that after crossing the Cloud Dragon River, we will reach the area of the immortal graveyard. Qin Yun said, There is indeed such a saying. This area belongs to the immortal graveyard, but no one knows where the real immortal graveyard is. Zi Qingcheng said, Legend has it that this place was originally a desolate land. Later on, it was built into a huge cemetery and became the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range. Qin Yun and company ran in the forest for 2 days. They only rested for 4 to 6 hours a day. They also encountered some magical beasts and demonic beasts, all of which were spirit-level magical beasts and demonic beasts. However, the moment Zi Qingcheng released the aura of the spirit martial realm, those magical beasts were scared away. At noon, after Qin Yun and company rested, they continued running. Suddenly, Zi Qingcheng shouted, Stop! There's someone in front! Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin did not discover anyone in front of them. This made them immediately vigilant. They took out their weapons and prepared to fight. In this forest, the trees were all 200 to 300 meters tall. They were extremely dense and blocked out the sunlight, causing the forest to be damp and a cool breeze to blow. It was quite surprising to meet people in such a place. If a few powerful magical beasts jumped out, they wouldn't be surprised. Are they heading to the martial desolate land like us? Qin Yun said in a low voice. Zi Qingcheng's expression was solemn. It could be seen that the people in front of them were very strong. They discovered us. Zi Qingcheng took out a pair of long hooks and prepared to fight. If the other party is very strong, I'll drag them down. You guys just need to run. As soon as she finished speaking, 10 people appeared and surrounded them. Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin were immediately alarmed. These 10 or so people were all at the spirit realm. Furthermore, most of them looked middle-aged. This meant that their talent was not bad, and they had long stepped into the spirit realm. Isn't this Zi Qingcheng? A middle-aged man in black armor smiled and said, Your Violet Spirit Star Palace has been destroyed? Why did you come to this place by yourself? Zi Qingcheng put away the long hooks in her hands, and her expression eased up quite a bit. It was as if she knew all of these people. There are dragons here. You guys should know, right? Aren't you afraid of attracting the dragon by gathering together and releasing your aura? Qin Yun sized up the people at the spirit realm. There were 7 men and 3 women, and they all looked middle-aged. In the spirit realm, there were relatively few people like Zi Qingcheng who maintained their youthful appearance. Of course we know. A red-clothed woman looked at Zi Qingcheng with a trace of jealousy in her eyes and said, We found that immortal tomb. We are searching everywhere to make sure that the dragon is not nearby. Qin Yun's heart skipped a beat. The immortal tomb had actually been found. Really? Zi Qingcheng asked in surprise. Isn't this too easy? What, you want to go? No way. We spent a lot of effort to find it. The red-clothed woman sneered. A gray-robed, middle-aged man took out a spatial communication pearl as if he was communicating with someone. Master Wang said that they can go over, the gray-robed middle-aged man said. Following that, Zi Qingcheng led Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin over. On the way, Qin Yun also learned that these 10 people came from a few Xian sections. In the Xian sects, they could only be considered disciples. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the strength of a Xian sect was. Qin Yun was very worried. He did not wish for the immortal tomb to be opened right now. He was afraid that it would affect Xie Qiru's plans. They followed the group of people at the spirit realm and ran for more than half a day before arriving at a tall mountain. It was nighttime, but from the mountain, one could see that there was a huge crater that was thousands of meters wide below. In the middle of the crater was a huge golden pagoda that was hundreds of meters wide and over 100 meters tall. The most terrifying thing was that this golden pagoda was completely red, as if it had been dyed red by something. A burly man said, "There were originally many mountains here, but they were all moved away by us. Furthermore, with our combined efforts, we dug out a huge pit and revealed this immortal tomb." Qin Yun sighed inwardly. Has the immortal graveyard really been found? Doesn't that mean that the immortal graveyard diagram on me is useless? Zi Qingcheng said with a frown, "Is it because you guys dug out this immortal tomb that you attracted a dragon?" Lan Fengjin also asked, "There should be a very strong tomb guardian beast or something like that here. The dragon appeared very early. There were some tomb guardian beasts, but they were all ghost beasts, and we killed them." "Go down," Wang Tianshi said. "He wants to see you." The middle-aged man in the lead said. Qin Yun also saw that there were a few houses on the side of the huge pit that was thousands of meters wide. This kind of house could be considered a spirit artifact. Because it was refined by a weapon refiner, it could become big or small and was very convenient to carry around. This kind of house was also very expensive, and not just anyone could have one. Zi Qingcheng said in a low voice, "An operation of this scale can only be done by the combined forces of at least a few Xian sects." That's right. The Moon Profound Valley is also participating. The middle-aged man said with a smile, "Zi Qingcheng, are you very excited to be able to see the immortal tomb with your own eyes? However, you don't have a share in it. You can only watch from the outside." Qin Yun never expected that he would meet a dragon halfway through the martial desolate land, and then meet a group of people who had found the immortal tomb. Now, he had seen this immortal tomb with his own eyes. At night, the moonlight was pleasant and the stars were resplendent. The golden pagoda flickered with a bright red light, as if it was absorbing the light of the stars and moon. It looked demonic and frightening. Qin Yun and company also arrived at a house and sat in a very spacious hall. Very quickly, many people appeared in the hall. Among them, there were a few elders with the most terrifying strength. That kind of pressure was far above the spirit realm. Qin Yun now had a clearer understanding of the power of the Xian rank powers in the martial desolate land. Those few elders were at the Xian realm. When these few elders came out, the others all bowed in greeting. Only after they sat down on their chairs could everyone stand up straight. Even martial artists in the spiritual martial realm had to be respectful to these old men. Qin Yun also realized that in the hall, only he and Lan Fengjin were in the martial Dao realm. Other than the few in the Xian realm, the other 20 or so people were all in the spirit realm. Among them, a long-bearded old man wearing an 8 trigrams Taoist robe walked towards Qin Yun. Then, he circled around Qin Yun and nodded repeatedly. His face was filled with pleasant surprise. "Wang Tianshi, how is it?" A skinny old man at the Xian realm asked. "Not bad, not bad," Wang Tianshi said with a bright smile. Qin Yun felt his hair stand on end. He did not know what Wang Tianshi was looking at. Zi Qingcheng and Lan Fengjin, on the other hand, were extremely worried. At this moment, Zi Qingcheng regretted following them. "Seniors, what's so special about this kid?" Zi Qingcheng asked softly. "We just so happen to be lacking sacrifices. We need a martial Dao realm boy. It's very hard to find. I didn't expect you to send it over." Wang Tian sure chuckled. Qin Yun hurriedly cursed in his heart before saying, "Senior, I'm almost 20 years old. I'm no longer a child. It doesn't matter. It's fine as long as it's a boy. Kid, you're not bad. You're already in the martial Dao realm at such a young age. Furthermore, you're so dutiful." Wang Tianshi was very happy as he patted Qin Yun on the shoulder with a chuckle. "Senior, sacrifice. Do you want me to die?" Qin Yun was taken aback as he asked. Wang Tianshi nodded. Qin Yun immediately cursed in his heart as he hurriedly said, "Senior, you know that I'm not even 20 years old, and I'm already in the martial Dao realm. This is not easy." Zi Qingcheng also hurriedly said, "Senior, he is a very good martial arts genius." Wang Tianshi said with a smile, "This kind of talent is not bad, but it can still be found in the martial desolate land. So I'll have to wrong him. After this, I'll give you some compensation." Zi Qingcheng was enraged as her face turned cold. "Don't touch him, you bastards. Even if I, Zi Qingcheng, die, I will fight you all to the death." Chapter 350. The Dragon is Here. Amongst the few old men at the Xian martial realm, an old woman with a walking stick suddenly stood up and said, "Brothers, please give me, old lady Do, some face and let this brat go." When Zi Qingcheng saw that old lady Do had stepped forward, she was very grateful. However, she did not dare to look up. "Old Madam Do, although your moon profound valley has contributed quite a bit, but this is the key. You have to know that young geniuses of the martial Dao realm are better, but it is very rare to find a martial Dao realm cultivator who still maintains a child's body." An old man at the Xian realm sneered, "Once we break through the immortal tomb, if we can obtain an immortal pill, we might be able to step into the martial king realm." Qin Yun cursed the entire family of these people in his heart. He also felt that there was no justice in this world. He had clearly kept his place and maintained his body as a child, but in the end, he had become the best sacrifice. "Old Madam Do, this is none of your moon profound valley's business. When the immortal tomb opens, you can follow us in. Please leave." A black-clothed old man holding a black heavy sword stood up and said with a stern voice. Although old Madame Du was at the Xian realm, she was the only one who helped Zi Qingcheng. From this, it could be seen that her relationship with Zi Qingcheng was not bad. Wang Tianshi said, "Today is the night of the full moon, and the yin qi is slightly heavy. It is more suitable for sacrifice now. If we open the immortal tomb, we will be able to reap great rewards tonight." "You bullshit heavenly master, don't speak nonsense. Qin Yun is my husband. You are not allowed to sacrifice him. Otherwise, I will self-destruct my Dao core and perish together with all of you." Zi Qingcheng was anxious as she cursed angrily. Qin Yun and Lan Fengjin were also taken aback. In order to save someone, Zi Qingcheng had actually thrown caution to the wind. Self-destruct? Hee hee. The sword-wielding old man flashed over in an instant. It was unknown when his sword had been unsheathed and was stabbing towards Zi Qingcheng's throat. Old Madame Du coldly snorted as she hurriedly struck the sword with her cane. With a dang sound, the sword was opened with a crisp sound. The speed of the two of them was so fast that it was impossible to catch them. "Old Madame Du, if you continue to obstruct us, I guarantee that all 100 disciples of your moon profound valley will be buried here," the old man holding the sword said angrily. "Jin Xuanzi, as the sect leader of the Sword Profound Mountain, are you openly declaring war on our moon profound valley by saying such words?" Old Madame Du shouted coldly. "The opening of the immortal graveyard is beneficial to both of us. Wasn't it just sacrificing a little brat? Is there a need for us to go to war?" A skinny old man sneered. The other Xian martial realm old men also voiced their agreement and expressed their determination to sacrifice Qin Yun. Qin Yun's heart was dripping with blood. How dare he look down on his life like that? He, Qin Yun, had gone through many hardships to achieve his current achievements. But now he was going to be sacrificed. What infuriated him the most was that this group of powerful cultivators from the prestigious sects looked down on his life. Old Madame Du, I'm sorry. A Xian realm cultivator condensed a ball of light mist in his palm, as if he was preparing for a big battle. The other Xian martial realm cultivators are also ready to fight. Old Madame Du was alone. She had no chance of winning against a few people at the Xian martial realm. Wang Tianshi was the fastest to act. He captured Qin Yun through the air and placed him in a golden cage. Zi Qingsheng was infuriated. Her face was filled with killing intent as the energy of her Dao core surged. She planned to go all out and self-destruct her own Dao core. Old Madame Du did not expect Wang Tianshi to move so quickly. It was too late to save Qin Yun now. She hurriedly took out a pagoda and stored Lan Fengjin and Zi Qingsheng inside. Let's go. We'll be able to open the immortal graveyard soon. Save some strength to seize the immortal treasure. Wang Tianshi laughed out loud. He used his mental power to lift the cage and walked out of the hall. Old Madame Du clenched her fists tightly and sighed helplessly. At this point, there was nothing she could do. She could only protect Zi Qingsheng. The other elders of the Xian realm also laughed and followed him out. The warriors of the spirit realm all heaved a sigh of relief. If a great battle broke out between the elders of the Xian realm, not only would it affect them, it would also attract the dragon. You bunch of old beasts, you are all a bunch of bastards. What kind of bullshit Jian Xuanzi are you? You're from a sword profound mountain, right? Just you wait. Your sword profound mountain, and I will not rest until one of us is dead. And you beast Wang Tianshi, what sect are you from? If you have the guts, tell me. Inside the cage, Qin Yun was also sealed by waves of energy. He was unable to mobilize the inner force of his Dao core. Brat, I'll let you scold me to your heart's content now. You're going to die soon anyway. Wang Tianshi laughed out loud. You bunch of old beasts, old bastards, old dogs. Qin Yun cursed out all sorts of profanities, causing Wang Tianshi and the other Xian realm cultivators to be so angry that their faces twitched. No one had ever scolded them like this before. Furthermore, it was in front of so many disciples. There were thousands of sect disciples in that huge pit. They had all seen these experts of the Xian realm being cursed by a brat. If not for the fact that Qin Yun was an extremely important offering, the few Xian realm cultivators would have killed him hundreds of times over. You bunch of naive pigs. Do you really think that you can obtain treasures just by opening the immortal graveyard? Dream on. I'm afraid you won't have the life to get what's inside. Qin Yun was tied to a stone platform in front of the golden-shaped pagoda as he cursed nonstop. This stone platform was made of bronze and looked extremely ancient. This was the sacrificial altar, something that came with this giant pagoda. Many people were surrounding the sacrificial altar, waiting with incomparable anticipation. Wang Tianshi laughed. We need to release his blood. For a martial Dao realm like him, his blood is very special. It can cause the sacrificial altar to produce a special power and close the formation of the immortal graveyard. How can you sacrifice your grandpa? The consequences for you will be very miserable. Your grandson who grew up eating shit. Qin Yun cursed angrily when he felt his wrist being cut open. Qin Yun's blood flowed out. The sacrificial altar seemed to have some sort of magical power as it constantly drew out the blood from his body. In order to prevent himself from losing too much blood and dying, he could only constantly consume the energy in his body and constantly produce blood. His blood was the blood of a heavenly lion. It was extraordinary. Seeing his heavenly lion's blood constantly flowing out, Qin Yun felt his heart ache. He could only curse those beasts. Am I really going to die? Qin Yun felt the sacrificial altar tremble as he felt despair in his heart. Roar. Suddenly, a dragon's roar could be heard. A glowing blue cloud appeared in the night sky, obscuring the moon and stars. Within the blue clouds, a huge dragon's body could be faintly discernible. The dragon had appeared. Furthermore, it was a light blue dragon. Its body was several hundred meters long, and it was extremely huge. It soared through the clouds and covered the sky. Ha ha! You guys must have suffered retribution. The dragon is here. The dragon is here. You bunch of grandsons let out my blood. The dragon is here to kill you. When Qin Yun saw the few Xian realm elders, their faces were filled with fear. He could not help but laugh out loud. The moment old Madame Du heard the dragon's roar, she hurriedly flew away. A Xian realm martial artist, after encountering a dragon, had actually fled in panic. Boom! The scarlet golden pagoda suddenly cracked open. When the immortal tomb opened, the dragon appeared as well. Qin Yun was still tied to the sacrificial altar, unable to move. Lying on the sacrificial altar, he could clearly see the gigantic dragon in the sky. The dragons might press down, causing the earth to tremble. The disciples of the martial Dao realm hurriedly led the other disciples of the martial body realm to evacuate. There were only a few seniors of the Xian realm and 20 to 30 warriors of the spirit realm watching. The sacrificial altar did not continue absorbing blood because the immortal tomb had already opened. The crack that appeared on the scarlet pagoda was several hundred meters wide, splitting the entire pagoda into two sides. In the middle of the pagoda was a bottomless hole. Wang Tianshi, what's going on? Why is the immortal tomb like this? And that dragon, why did it suddenly appear here? Jian Xuanzi hurriedly asked. He was also prepared to evacuate, but when he saw the opened immortal tomb, he was extremely reluctant. Wang Tianshi said with a frown, I don't know. The situation of this immortal tomb is somewhat different from what I expected. Qin Yun secretly admired the courage of these fellows. He hurriedly shouted, Hurry up and let me go. The immortal tomb has already opened, and the dragon above is about to come down. Aren't you going to run? Brat, you have to continue staying there. The time limit for the sacrifice is 24 hours. Only when the sacrificial altar devours your flesh and blood will it be considered a success. Wang Tianshi said. Jian Xuanzi looked at the dragon in the sky and said, This guy only dares to circle around it. He doesn't dare to come down. It looks like he's afraid of something inside the immortal tomb. Haha, we don't have to be afraid of this dragon. Let's continue. Wang Tianshi laughed loudly. The immortal tomb has just been opened. It has been filled with Yin energy and death energy for many years. It's also very dangerous. Let's wait for a while before entering. The dragon in the air danced and roared. It did not come down, nor did it attack. The originally pitch-black ground was now illuminated by the light blue clouds in the sky. Qin Yun could no longer feel any more blood flowing. He also found it strange that the sacrificial altar did not seem to continue absorbing blood. In other words, the sacrifice was over. This immortal tomb is really powerful. Even dragons are afraid of the things hidden inside. What exactly is it? Jian Xuanzi's old eyes were filled with fanaticism and excitement as he looked at the huge, pitch-black tomb of the immortal tomb. The tomb was filled with black gas, emitting a bitter yin qi. It was filled with a sinister aura, even though it was very frightening. However, those at the Xian martial realm were not afraid. Wang Tianshi also said that this was a normal phenomenon. The sacrificial altar that Qin Yun was at was the closest to the tomb. He could feel the terrifying evil energy within the tomb the most. That power was gradually getting stronger. Qin Yun did not know why, but the totem on his heavenly lion arm was extremely manic. Suddenly, black gas gushed out from the huge tomb and shot straight into the sky, blowing away the thick blue cloud. Roar! A low, deep, and sinister roar shook out from the deep pit. Beneath the tomb, there was actually a huge beast, and it was extremely terrifying. When Qin Yun heard the roar, he was even more shocked. That was because he could tell what kind of beast it was. Chapter 351. Ghost Lion King. Previously, Qin Yun and Xiao Yueme had encountered a golden fire lion beside the Cloud Dragon River. The giant lion had said that their clan was responsible for guarding the immortal graveyard or something. When he thought of this matter, he didn't find it strange. He was only surprised that there was such a powerful heavenly lion hidden in the immortal tomb. Impossible, impossible. Wang Tianshi kept shaking his head and said, "This immortal tomb has existed for tens of thousands of years. It's impossible for there to be anything alive inside. Furthermore, it's such a powerful beast." The dragon circling in the night sky was also roaring nonstop. The earth suddenly shook and a black shadow flew out from the tomb. It was indeed a heavenly lion. However, its entire body was pitch black, and compared to the dragon, it was much smaller. It was only a few dozen meters long. However, this black heavenly lion was extremely brave and fierce. As soon as it flew out, it used the heavenly lion's roar at the dragon in the sky. The explosive roar shook the world. The ground around the tomb immediately rose and fell like a monstrous wave. Those at the Xian martial realm all had faces full of fear. This kind of terrifying power seemed to be able to destroy the world. Qin Yun, who was lying on the sacrificial altar, felt his blood boil as he watched. This was the authentic heavenly lion's roar. It was terrifying to the extreme. It's the Ghost Lion King, the legendary heavenly lion from the immortal graveyard. It has now turned into a ghost beast. Wang Tianshi shouted in shock. The Ghost Lion King flew high into the sky and waved its claws, transforming them into a huge black claw that was more than 100 meters long. It grabbed at the dancing dragon. It was the heavenly lion fighting Dragon Claw. This Ghost Lion King was fighting with the dragon. Roar, roar. The dragon was not to be outdone. It used its tail to sweep the Ghost Lion King. At the same time, it constantly roared and spat out lightning from its mouth. As the Ghost Lion King roared, it also spat out a black flame that attacked the lightning. The battle between the dragon and lion seemed to shake the heavens and earth. It was extremely intense. While the Ghost Lion King is holding back that dragon, "We have to hurry up and go in," Wang Tianshi hurriedly shouted. Although Jian Xuanzi was terrified of the strength of the dragon and the Ghost Lion King, their passion for immortal treasures made them fearless. They all rushed towards the tomb. However, just as they were about to rush over, a golden light suddenly shot out from the huge tomb. "An immortal treasure has appeared?" Jian Xuanzi cried out in surprise. Sure enough, something suddenly flew out from the tomb. It was a cauldron that was burning with golden flames. It was several meters tall. After it flew out, it gradually shrank until it was only 2 meters tall. It was a square cauldron with 4 heavenly lion heads, and the body of the cauldron was engraved with heavenly lion totem carvings. The ears of the cauldron were also 2 heavenly lion heads with their mouths open. When Qin Yun saw the cauldron, he immediately felt a sense of regret. Of course, he could tell that this was an extremely powerful cauldron. However, it was going to fall into the hands of Jian Xuanzi and his group of bastards. It's the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron, Wang Tianshi exclaimed. "Quickly get it over here." Jian Xuanzi's face was filled with ecstasy. Using his own power, he condensed a purplish gold belt of light and wrapped it around the dragon suppression cauldron. This is an ancient Tao artifact. Use your blood essence to refine it. Wang Tianshi hurriedly cut open his wrist and mixed his mental energy into his blood. He released it and injected it into the dragon suppression cauldron. The other elders of the Xian martial realm also hurriedly let out their blood to refine it. Qin Yun, who was tied to the sacrificial altar, was extremely astonished. Although he was a high-ranked inscription master, he did not know that he needed to use such a method to subdue an ancient Tao artifact. A Tao artifact was above a Xian artifact. As for an ancient Tao artifact, it was even more terrifying. The refining techniques and various Tao runes used were all lost. Furthermore, There was a heavenly lion totem carved on the dragon suppression cauldron. That was even more powerful. Even though we are letting out blood to refine it together, whoever bleeds more will have the dragon suppression cauldron. Jian Xuanzi said coldly. If anyone obtains it, they are not allowed to snatch it. Everyone wanted to obtain the dragon suppression cauldron. At this moment, they were desperately bleeding. The dragon suppression cauldron floated in the air and continuously rotated, absorbing the blood of the Xian realm. The tomb had only just opened, and such a thing had already flown out. It made people feel that there must be something else inside. Just as they were refining the dragon suppression cauldron, the scarlet pagoda that had split in the middle gradually closed. The immortal tomb was closed. Don't worry, that little demon is still here. Wang Tianshi looked at Qin Yun and said with a chuckle, "It's a good thing we didn't kill him just now. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to open the immortal tomb." Whoosh! The dragon suppression cauldron suddenly trembled and a scorching gale burst out. As it spun, it constantly shot out balls of flames that flew everywhere. Suddenly, the lid of the dragon suppression cauldron opened, and a large red ball of fire surged out from within. Be careful! The dragon suppression cauldron is attacking us. This guy is a Tao artifact. It has its own consciousness. Jian Xuanzi shouted. The ball of red flame flew out and towards the sacrificial altar. Not good. It's going to destroy the sacrificial altar. It's going to destroy the only way to enter the tomb. Just as Wang Tianshi finished speaking, the ball of fire smashed towards Qin Yun. Boom! A large wave of fire surged out, destroying the sacrificial altar and causing a fiery and stiff rock to fly out. The sacrificial altar and the little demon are gone. Jian Xuanzi said in shock. The sacrificial altar is so sturdy, but it was blown up in an instant. The most shocked person was still Wang Tianshi. Jian Xuanzi said, "Let's not worry about it for now. Let's take down the dragon suppression cauldron first." At this moment, the other spirit martial realm warriors also joined in. They released their blood essence to suppress the irritable dragon suppression cauldron. Qin Yun was struck by the ball of flames, but he did not feel any injuries. Instead, he was wrapped up by the ball of flames and flew far away with the ferocious force. "I'm saved." Qin Yun was lying in a crack in the ground. At that moment, he was still in the huge pit where the gigantic tower was. He fell into the crack that had been torn out. Qin Yun touched his body and was extremely astonished. Mother of Asterisk, that's not a flame, but the artifact soul of the dragon suppression cauldron. That's the most important thing in a Tao artifact, and it actually flew out by itself. He looked at his own Nether Sun Tao core. The artifact soul was in the shape of a small cauldron, hiding inside his Tao core. Even if they obtained the dragon suppression cauldron, without the artifact soul, it would only be a relatively sturdy piece of iron. Qin Yun was secretly delighted as he crawled out of the crack. The Ghost Lion King and the dragon were still engaged in an intense battle, causing the world to be enveloped by all sorts of loud noises. The violent shaking of the earth did not stop at all. Qin Yun crawled out of the crack and saw Jian Xuanzi smiling. That was because he had obtained the dragon suppression cauldron. Let's leave first. Regardless of whether the Ghost Lion King wins or the dragon wins, they will come to deal with us. Wang Tianshi's expression was solemn as he looked at the battle between the dragon and lion in the distant sky. Jian Xuanzi hurriedly took out a large piece of bee skin and spread it out with many people. With a single glance, Qin Yun knew that it was a teleportation array. This guy actually has such a thing. No wonder they are so calm. Qin Yun cursed softly. He hated Wang Tianshi and Jian Xuanzi to the bone. They had captured him to be a sacrifice. Jian Xuanzi and the others at the Xian martial realm and more than 20 at the spirit martial realm were all standing on that huge piece of bee skin. Let's inject energy together and activate the teleportation array. 1, 2, 3. Jian Xuanzi shouted. When Qin Yun saw that the teleportation array was about to open, he hurriedly took out a spirit realm Tao core and flew into the air. Look, it's that brat. He's not dead. An old man at the spirit realm shouted. That's great. Catch him. We might be able to use it in the future. Wang Tian sure said, in pleasant surprise. Go to hell, you bunch of beasts. Qin Yin threw the spirit realm Dao, core, in his hand with all his might. Because of the great battle between the dragon and lion in the sky, the aura in the world was tyrannical. Therefore, they could not sense that it was a Dao core. They had no idea what was flying towards them. When the Dao core approached, Jin Xuanzi hurriedly cried out in alarm. It's a spirit realm Dao core. It's about to explode. As for Qin Yun, he hurriedly activated his blue spirit profound robe and used teleportation meteor steps to leave the crater. Boom! A loud explosion erupted from within the crater. The energy wave spread out for a radius of 100 miles, causing a large amount of dust to fly everywhere, filling the sky. Qin Yin was also sent flying far away by the shockwave. Fortunately, he ran fast and was not at the core of the explosion. He was not injured at all. After the intense explosion, Jin Xuanzi, Wang Tianshi, and company were all near the huge crater. They floated in the air and looked at the huge crater that had collapsed beside the Scarlet Tower. Their faces were filled with shock. That little bastard actually has a spirit realm Dao core in his hands. How'd he get it? Wang Tianshi was fine, but he was also in a sorry state. As for those at the spirit realm, they were more or less injured. Fortunately, a few Xian realm warriors protected them in time. However, that precious teleportation array had been blown to pieces. Jin Xuanzi roared, "My ancestral teleportation array! I want to skin that brat alive!" Roar! For some reason, the Ghost Lion King suddenly stopped fighting with the dragon and charged down. This scared the Xian realm warriors to the point that they covered their heads and fled in all directions. Now that the Ghost Lion King was here, they ran as fast as they could. The warriors of the Spirit Martial Realm were all complaining bitterly because those of the Xian Realm were running very fast, and they could not catch up at all. That little bastard, he's killed us. Damn brat. He destroyed the teleportation array and even alarmed the Ghost Lion King. If not, we would have already returned safely. If this brat is still alive, I must get even with him. The powerful martial artists who were fleeing were all cursing Qin Yun in their hearts. Qin Yun, who was fleeing, was also cursing the group of martial artists in his heart. He had almost been tormented to death by the sacrifice. In order to take revenge, he had only thrown away a Dao core. Qin Yun ran through the forest for a few days before gradually distancing himself from the immortal tomb. He was only in the martial Dao realm. It was still somewhat dangerous for him to travel alone, but he could not care too much about it. At that moment, the sky was dark. Qin Yun used the shadow power in the night to quickly travel. Thankfully, Zi Qingsheng had previously told him a direction, allowing him to know where the martial desolate land was. Traveling at night was the safest for him because the shadow power allowed him to hide in the darkness. When it was almost dawn, Qin Yun was planning to rest when he realized that the artifact soul within the Nether Sun Dao core was trembling slightly. Could it be? The heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron is nearby. This cauldron was obtained by that old bastard, Jin Xuanzi. Is he nearby? Chapter 352. Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron. Qin Yin knew very well that he had no chance of winning against Jin Xuanzi, who was at the Xian martial realm. Furthermore, Jin Xuanzi hated him to death. Once he was caught, he would not immediately die, but he would definitely be tortured to the point where he wished he was dead. I have to avoid this old thing. Qin Yin wished that he could kill Jin Xuanzi as well. However, he did not have the strength to do so. Qin Yin could sense its location through the artifact's soul, so he deliberately stayed away from that direction. However, the artifact's soul became even more agitated, as if it wanted to escape from his body. Could it be that the artifact's soul wants me to track Jin Xuanzi? Qin Yin stopped in his tracks and thought to himself. The artifact spirit within his Nether Sun inner core continuously jumped about violently. It always charged in one direction, which was the direction where Jian Xuanzi was. If I don't go over, the artifact's soul will escape. Qin Yin was very reluctant to part with the artifact's soul. After all, this was the soul of an ancient Tao artifact. It was much better than the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. He gritted his teeth and made a decision to head in the direction of Jian Xuanzi. Master Artifact's soul, don't trick me. Qin Yin thought to himself. When the time comes, you must show off your might and deal with Jian Xuanzi. Otherwise, both of us will fall into the hands of villains. As Qin Yin ran, he looked at Mo in his storage space. She had the dragon beast crystal egg to eat, so she had been very happy during this period of time. Mo, I'm going on an adventure again. He greeted Mo and told her to get ready. Mo also nodded worriedly. She had made up her mind to die with Qin Yin. Therefore, no matter what danger she encountered, she would not leave Qin Yin. At night, Qin Yin used his shadow power and carefully tracked Jian Xuanzi. This old guy is at the Xian realm. I wonder if he can discover me. It seems to be very close to me. I don't know what the artifact's soul is planning, but it wants me to come find Jian Xuanzi. Could it be that it wants to take back the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron? Qin Yin thought to himself as he carefully walked through the forest. Through the artifact soul, he could sense that the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron was right in front of him, and it had stopped moving. Ooh! Jian Xuanzi's voice suddenly sounded. Qin Yin was given a huge fright. He never expected that Jian Xuanzi would be able to discover him. After all, he was only in the martial Dao realm, and Jian Xuanzi was in the Xian martial realm. His cultivation was countless times higher than his. Qin Yin stood motionless on the spot. Jian Xuanzi came over. He could sense a faint fluctuation. He held a heavy sword in his hand and walked lightly without making any sound or aura. Qin Yin was secretly alarmed. If Jian Xuanzi were to hide, it would be very difficult to discover him. If he did not have the artifact's soul, he would not have been able to sense Jian Xuanzi's existence. What's there? Jian Xuanzi shouted and struck out with his palm towards Qin Yin's location. A powerful palm energy struck out, shattering dozens of trees into powder. Qin Yin was also sent flying, exposing himself. It's you. Ha ha ha. When Jian Xuanzi saw that it was Qin Yin, he laughed out loud and said, You brat, you actually want to sneak attack me? Where does your confidence come from? After all, the older the wiser, and this piece of ginger was 1,000-year-old ginger. Qin Yin vomited blood and cursed the artifact's soul for not appearing to protect him at the critical moment. He thought that the artifact's soul would be able to display its divine might, but now it is holed up inside his nether sun inner core. I've been tricked to death. Qin Yin cursed in his heart as he retreated. Jian Xuanzi kept the heavy sword in his hand and smiled as he took out a very thin willow leaf sword. It was as if he was a cat looking at a mouse. Brat, doesn't my sword look very beautiful? This is called the flying blood sword. When it stabs into your body and pulls it out, it will bring out a large amount of flesh and blood. Jian Xuanzi said with a sinister smile. Qin Yin stood up and hurriedly ran. However, with a flash, Jian Xuanzi appeared in front of him. Be it speed or strength, Qin Yin was far from Jian Xuanzi's match. Swoosh! Jian Xuanzi stabbed his sword into Qin Yin's right arm before pulling it out abruptly. It brought out a large amount of flesh and blood, causing Qin Yin to cry out in pain. Ha ha! It must be great. You brat, you actually blew up my ancestral teleportation formation. I will definitely not let you die a quick death. Jian Xuanzi thought of the precious teleportation formation that had been destroyed and immediately flew into a rage. He stabbed at Qin Yin's thigh and pulled out the sword with all his might, pulling out a large piece of flesh and blood. The white robe on Jian Xuanzi's body was also dyed red by Qin Yin's blood. Old bastard, you deserve it. Qin Yin cursed angrily. You're still being stubborn. I'll kill you. Jian Xuanzi stabbed at Qin Yin's right shoulder. Qin Yin cried out in pain. In front of Jian Xuanzi, he was like a scarecrow that was casually stabbed. That flying blood sword was a very vicious weapon. Not only did it pull out a large amount of flesh and blood, it also caused a person great pain. After being stabbed a few times, more than half of the blood in Qin Yun's body had flowed out. Furthermore, he did not have the time to recover, which made him extremely weak. Jian Xuanzi laughed sinisterly. "Don't worry, I won't kill you for the time being. It's not easy to find an offering like you." Just as he finished speaking, a wave of dragon aura suddenly came from the sky. That dragon suddenly came over, and it was extremely fast. Jian Xuanzi's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly abandoned Qin Yun and fled. The most terrifying thing was that with a sweep of the dragon's tail, it swept away a few hundred meters of thick soil and giant trees. Jian Xuanzi was also sent flying. The dragon's target was actually Jian Xuanzi. Jian Xuanzi did not know what kind of bad luck he had to encounter this dragon one after another. The strange thing was that this dragon had been far away before, but it seemed like something had attracted it over. Qin Yun also felt that the appearance of the dragon was strange. But now, he had time to recover the blood he had lost. The night sky was illuminated by the angry blue dragon. The dragon cloud soared, and the dragon's might shocked the heavens. The furious dragon roared nonstop as it swung its gigantic dragon tail and swept the ground, creating a huge crater that was a few hundred meters wide. Jian Xuanzi dodged left and right, wanting to escape from this place, but the dragon did not let him go. "Evil creature, watch me suppress you." Jian Xuanzi was infuriated as he took out the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. The glittering golden heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron caused the dragon's attack to stop. Following that, the dragon let out an even more ferocious roar. That 100-meter-long dragon tail carried a violent blue lightning as it swept towards Jian Xuanzi. The dragon's attack speed was much faster. Jian Xuanzi had no time to dodge, and the two of them were sent flying with the cauldron. The heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron was completely useless. Jian Xuanzi was also infuriated. What he obtained was actually trash. The dragon was not afraid at all. Bang! The dragon tail swept out once again, sending the cauldron flying. When Qin Yun saw this, he was overjoyed. He hurriedly used teleportation meteor and flew over. After stepping into the martial Dao realm, he had even more inner supreme force. Furthermore, he had 3 Dao cores that stored inner supreme force, allowing him to use teleportation meteor for a long period of time. Although the dragon suppression cauldron could not deal with the dragon, it was still an ancient Dao artifact. It was still very precious. When Jian Xuanzi saw Qin Yun store the cauldron into his storage bag, he immediately roared angrily, "Brat, that's mine." Qin Yun's heart was beating rapidly. The main reason was because he was very excited. Furthermore, the current situation was extremely dangerous. It made him feel extremely excited. "Master Long, thank you." Qin Yun laughed out loud as he used teleportation meteor. With a few flashes, he disappeared from Jian Xuanzi's line of sight. Jian Xuanzi roared and threw out a few extremely powerful talismans, sending the tail of the dragon flying. However, the dragon did not let him off. It spat out a bolt of lightning and sent him flying. Qin Yun immediately felt a wave of disgust. He had long heard from Mo that many people wanted to eat people with bloodlines. Now he was certain that it was true. Jian Xuanzi laughed loudly and increased his speed. The corner was in front of Qin Yun. Qin Yun hardened his heart and threw out his remaining spirit martial realm Dao core. "Old bastard, eat my Dao core." Chapter 353. A Rare Victory. When the Dao core exploded, Qin Yun immediately took out the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron, wrapped it around the cauldron, and hid behind it. Boom! The Dao core exploded, flattening a large part of the forest. The scariest thing was that this alerted the dragon in the distance. The explosion of the Dao core had caused a huge sound, attracting the dragon over. This was a most fatal thing. Jian Xuanzi's entire body was blasted into a bloody mess, but he was after all a warrior of the Xian realm, and his bones were extremely strong. As long as his bones were not damaged, he could continue running and chase after Qin Yun. Qin Yun hugged the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron and was sent flying. Although Xiao Qin's body was shaken, it was not a big deal. He was satisfied with the defense of the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron. While he was holding the heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron, the artifact spirit of the Nether Sun Dao core also came out of his body and entered the cauldron. At this moment, the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron was complete, and it was also the strongest. Don't you need to refine anything? In an instant, Qin Yun established a connection with the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. Just as he was in ecstasy, he sensed Jian Xuanzi chasing after him. He quickly put away the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron and started running with the mysterious star steps. "Brat, don't run. I will definitely eat you alive," Jian Xuanzi shouted crazily. He was a dignified Xian realm martial artist, the sect leader of the Sword Profound Mountain. But now he was being tormented by a little brat to such a state. If word of this got out, he would definitely lose all his face. Qin Yun never expected that he would be able to torment Jian Xuanzi to such a state. "Looks like my heavenly lion blood attracted that dragon. This heavenly lion bloodline also has the ability to summon dragons?" Qin Yun thought to himself as he ran. Although Jian Xuanzi, who was chasing from behind, was severely injured, his speed was not inferior to Qin Yun's. He could even catch up to Qin Yun. Qin Yun was being chased closely. He did not know how Jian Xuanzi was doing, so he did not dare to attack rashly. He could only continue running and wait for an opportunity to attack. The two of them had been running crazily for more than a day and were very tired. Qin Yun hurriedly released the Spirit Lion King. Under his control, the Spirit Lion King charged towards Jian Xuanzi. When Jian Xuanzi saw the Spirit Lion King, he was secretly alarmed. He never expected Qin Yun to use such a puppet. "This kind of thing can't deal with me," Jian Xuanzi sneered as he struck the Spirit Lion King with his palm. Crack! The Spirit Lion King was split open by the palm strike, but it could still move and was entangled with Jian Xuanzi. Qin Yun hurriedly threw out all sorts of talismans at Jian Xuanzi. Boom, boom, boom. Jian Xuanzi was struck by all sorts of talismans and was in an extremely sorry state. "Mother of Asterisker, if I wasn't injured by that dragon, I would have died. You little bastard will definitely skin me alive." The main reason why Jian Xuanzi's injuries worsened was because he was struck by the Spirit Realm's Dao core. Qin Yun knew very well that if he continued to be chased, he would definitely be caught. Furthermore, he would be exhausted when the time came. Jian Xuanzi was in the Xian martial realm, and his body was extremely strong. Even if he did not use his inner force, he could still deal with a martial Dao realm cultivator. "I'll chop you into pieces." Jian Xuanzi's entire body was charred black, and he was in a sorry state. He did not look like a human at all, but rather like a ghost. After he killed the Spirit Lion King, he charged at Qin Yun and used the heavy sword to stab at him. Qin Yun hurriedly took out the dragon suppression cauldron and placed it in front of him. Clang! The heavy sword stabbed into the dragon suppression cauldron and produced a fierce impact, sending Qin Yun and the cauldron flying. This fellow's strength is actually so terrifying. Qin Yun also knew that the Xian realm he was facing was also a top-tier one. When Jian Xuanzi saw how well Qin Yun controlled the dragon suppression cauldron, he became even more envious. He believed that it was all thanks to the heavenly lion bloodline. As long as he ate Qin Yun, he would be able to obtain such a bloodline. The totem on Qin Yun's heavenly lion arm suddenly lit up and resonated with the totem on the dragon suppression cauldron. When Jian Xuanzi saw the heavenly lion totem tattoo on Qin Yun's arm, he was astonished and jealous. "Brat, you actually have totem tattoos." Jian Xuanzi was so jealous that his eyes turned red. He also felt ecstatic because he believed that Qin Yun would definitely be killed by him today. When Qin Yun saw his heavenly lion totem tattoo react with the dragon suppression cauldron, he was pleasantly surprised and hurriedly threw the cauldron out. After the dragon suppression cauldron flew out, it suddenly became as huge as a mountain. The mouth of the cauldron faced the ground and pressed down on Jian Xuanzi. Jian Xuanzi never expected that the dragon suppression cauldron would become so huge. Furthermore, when it pressed down, it could envelop him inside. "Little bastard, I'm going to bite off your flesh one bite at a time." Inside the cauldron, Jian Xuanzi shouted crazily. Qin Yun hurriedly controlled the dragon suppression cauldron to shrink before coming to the side of the cauldron. He quickly activated his nether sun purple flame and poured it into the cauldron. The strongest part of the dragon suppression cauldron was that it could strengthen flames. After absorbing the nether sun purple flame, it became even stronger. Ah, what kind of flame is this? Nether sun flame. You actually have the nether sun martial spirit. Jian Xuanzi let out an incomparably terrified cry from within the cauldron. "Old thing, you didn't expect this, did you?" Qin Yun said with a sneer. At that moment, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Don't be complacent," Jian Xuanzi roared. The heavenly lion dragon suppressing cauldron, which had shrunk, was sent flying. Qin Yun's cultivation was still too low. He was unable to unleash the power of the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. However, after the cauldron flew away, it hurriedly flew back and smashed towards Jian Xuanzi, who was covered in black flames. Boom! Jian Xuanzi's head was ruthlessly smashed, releasing an extremely terrifying explosive force. Ah! Qin Yun hurriedly controlled the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron and constantly smashed Jian Xuanzi. In just a few moves, Jian Xuanzi was beaten to the ground. "Old bastard, your life is really tough." Qin Yun hurried over and placed his palm on Jian Xuanzi's abdomen. Using the soul extraction technique, Jian Xuanzi, who was beaten to the point of being unable to retaliate, screamed loudly, "You are extracting my martial spirit. This is the art of soul extraction." Ah! If you had listened to old Madame Du and not used me as a sacrifice, there wouldn't have been so much trouble, Qin Yun said with a sneer as he pulled out Jian Xuanzi's martial spirit. It was actually a dragon sword martial spirit. On the body of the sword, there was a small dragon coiling around it. This was a very powerful martial spirit and could be considered a martial spirit bestowed by the heavens. My martial spirit, Jian Xuanzi shouted. "Your martial spirit is mine." Qin Yun grinned. When Jian Xuanzi saw Qin Yun smile, he could not help but feel fear. However, Qin Yun, who was in the martial Tao realm, suddenly made him feel incomparable fear. He did not know why Qin Yun had the bloodline of a heavenly lion or why he had the nether sun martial spirit. Furthermore, he knew how to extract souls. These things were extremely rare even in the ancient times. But now, they were all concentrated on a single person. Qin Yun placed Jian Xuanzi into the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron and released the nether sun purple flame. It began to burn, and he poured in a large amount of beast oil. Before Jian Xuanzi died, his resentment overflowed to the heavens. He died in an extremely aggrieved manner. Not only was a Xian realm martial artist unable to die with dignity, he was also tortured to the point of hovering between life and death. What made him most indignant was that the person who killed him was a young man who had just stepped into the martial Tao realm. After confirming that Jian Xuanzi was dead, Qin Yun laid on the ground and heaved a long sigh. Thinking back to the various dangers from before, he still felt a lingering fear. The place he was at was also a mess. The surrounding trees were all broken into pieces. The commotion from before was very big, so it was not appropriate to stay here for long. After recovering a little, he put away the dragon suppression cauldron, picked up the broken spirit Lion King, and hurriedly left the place. Qin Yin found a large tree with a hole in it and hid inside. What surprised him was that through the 9 yang divine spirit and the tree totem, he could undergo a strange fusion with the big tree. He could absorb the 9 suns' spiritual energy through the big tree. One had to know that there were countless leaves on the canopy of a huge tree. These leaves could be fully illuminated by the sun. Qin Yin was able to quickly absorb the 9 suns' spiritual energy after undergoing a miraculous fusion with the tree. Furthermore, this spiritual energy was the essence of plants. It could quickly recover from injuries. Qin Yin did not know much about the abilities of the tree totem. Mo only knew how to evolve the totem. She did not know the specific uses of the totems. He could only wait for him to dig it out bit by bit. In 2 days, all of Qin Yun's injuries had recovered. He happily walked out of the tree hole. He changed into a set of black clothes, and after finding a direction, he continued rushing to the martial desolate land. It would take a long time to pass through the martial desolate land from the border. Even for those of the spirit realm, it would take at least 2 to 3 months to make a round trip. Qin Yin could only run on the ground by himself and avoid the beasts everywhere. He realized that after he left the Cloud Dragon River, the number of magical beasts he encountered became fewer and fewer. On this side, most of them were demon beasts. What he found inconceivable was that many demon beasts would not take the initiative to attack him. Sometimes they would even brush past him. If the demon beasts don't take the initiative to attack me, I won't attack them either. Qin Yin remembered the teachings of Teacher. There are also many powerful demon beasts. For example, spirit-level demon beasts were called spirit beasts. Their strength was the same as the martial body realm. This kind of spirit beast had a higher intelligence. Furthermore, they had a very strange feeling. As long as they felt that humans did not have any intention of attacking them, they would not attack humans. As Qin Yin entered the depths of the Cloud Dragon Mountain range, he gradually felt more at ease. He had thought that he would have to deal with many powerful demon beasts. Big Brother Yin, it's also possible that you have the bloodline of a heavenly lion, so the demon beasts won't take the initiative to attack you. Mo suddenly said. She was very happy that Qin Yin was safe and sound. For the past few days, she had been worried that something would happen to Qin Yin. Qin Yin said with a smile, "Is that so? It seems like the heavenly lion bloodline has many benefits." The forest was very cool. The trees here were all 1,000-year-old trees. Although they were very old, they absorbed the 9 suns' spiritual energy very quickly. The big tree absorbed a large amount of 9 suns' spiritual energy and also released a very rich amount of plant essence. Humans and demon beasts could quickly replenish their stamina by absorbing it. Qin Yin ran along the way and felt very relaxed. Looks like there are many magical beasts only in the area near the Cloud Dragon River. Qin Yin said, "Those magical beasts are very despicable. They want to eat anyone they see." He also thought of Jian Xuanzi. Previously, he wished that he could eat him like a magical beast. Chapter 354. Arriving at the martial desolate previously, Qin Yin had been warned by his father to hide his heavenly lion totem well. On the side of the martial desolate, there was a totem pavilion that specialized in plundering totems. "Of course," Mo said, "it's not difficult." Qin Yin hurriedly jumped onto a big tree and released Mo. It was noon. Although the sunlight was intense, it was blocked by the canopy of trees. However, the sunlight could still squeeze in through the gaps in the leaves and shine on the totem on Qin Yun's heavenly lion arm. The heavenly lion totem on his arm was mighty and domineering. But at that moment, it was slowly wiped away by the adorable Mo with a small hand. The heavenly lion totem tattoo was still on Qin Yun's arm. However, under the control of Mo's secret technique, it was hidden under his skin. My heavenly lion bloodline must be hidden well. Unless I have no other choice, I can't expose it. When Qin Yun thought of Jian Xuanzi, he was secretly alarmed. Jian Xuanzi was shouting that he wanted to eat even his hair because he had the bloodline of a heavenly lion. Mo smiled sweetly and said, Brother Yun, since you can experience the power of the heavenly lion bloodline, others will definitely want to as well. For many martial artists whose power is limited, obtaining this bloodline is a way to obtain even stronger power. Qin Yun nodded. The heavenly lion bloodline is extremely important to me. I can't lose it. After all, it has acknowledged me. It was precisely because of the heavenly lion bloodline that he had obtained the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. Previously, Jian Xuanzi and the others who were at the Xian martial realm had to put in a lot of effort to barely refine the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. As for Qin Yun, he only needed to touch the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron to obtain its approval. Mo carefully examined Qin Yun's heavenly lion arm. After confirming that the totem tattoo would not be discovered, she nodded in satisfaction. Following that, she hid the dragon and tiger totem on the surface of her heart. This way, even if someone discovered the vibration martial spirit, they wouldn't be able to see the totem tattoo. As for the tree totem within the Nether Sun Dao core, it was hidden very well. Lan Shan was at the spirit martial realm, and even he was unable to detect it. Qin Yin recalled the totem on Lan Shan's bald head and said, Lan Shan is an idiot. Isn't he afraid of being captured by Totem Pavilion after exposing his totem tattoo? Or does he not know that there is a Totem Pavilion? I don't know him. If you see him, you can remind him. After Mo helped Qin Yin hide the totem runes, she entered the storage space. Qin Yin continued on his way as he said, Mo, there might not be any magical beast crystal eggs left in the martial desolate land. What should I make for you to eat? Well, let's talk about it when the time comes. The dragon beast crystal eggs you have here are enough for me to eat for a while. Mo said. Qin Yin jumped down the tree and continued on his way. After 2 months of traveling, Qin Yin entered a different region. Here, there were many traces left behind by human beings. In other words, he was close to the martial desolate. This area was definitely a place where many martial artists from the martial desolate land often came to hunt demonic beasts. Qin Yin was secretly excited. He was finally about to arrive at the martial desolate land where martial arts flourished. After a few days, Qin Yin finally walked out of the forest and arrived at a flat grassland. Is this the martial desolate? Qin Yin looked at the 9 suns in the sky and realized that the spiritual energy of the 9 suns was indeed much denser than that of the borders. If he went to some special places, the spiritual energy of the 9 suns would be even denser. Qin Yin greedily breathed in the air. He was eager to experience the difference in the martial desolate land. He walked out of the grassland and arrived at a barren mountain. There was a road here. It was a muddy road because many people walked it often. There should be some cities outside the Cloud Dragon mountain range. After all, this place is very close to the Cloud Dragon mountain range. There must be many hunters who often enter the Cloud Dragon mountain range. There must be a city built nearby. Qin Yun's guess was very accurate. He followed the mud road and soon saw a large city without city walls. Generally speaking, large cities without city walls were rather chaotic, and there was no one to manage them. Qin Yun felt that with his strength, he would not be at a disadvantage in such a place. Thus, he walked in with ease. In this kind of place where fish and dragons mix together, it was easier to inquire about some things. For someone like Qin Yun, who had just arrived in the martial desolate land, he knew nothing about this place. If he were to inquire about it in a proper city, it would definitely arouse the suspicions of many people. It was different here. He could casually tip the waiter with a few crystal coins and quickly inquire about the matters of the martial desolate land. Qin Yun changed into relatively ordinary gray clothes, draped a robe over his shoulders, and wore a conical bamboo hat as he entered the city. As he walked, he quickly found out that purple coins were used to trade here. My crystal coins are all on my crystal card, and they're all white crystal coins. Qin Yun cursed in his heart. The prices of the martial desolate land are really different. He had previously heard from Lan Fengjin that because of the location of the martial desolate land, many purple crystals had condensed under the ground. However, Lan Fengjin had never told him that most of the transactions here were done with purple coins. There were only a few dozen purple coins in Qin Yun's storage space. It could be considered rather shabby. If this was his hometown, it would be tens of thousands of crystal coins. It would be enough for him to eat and drink for a long time. Looks like I have to join a better sect first. Not only will I be able to get a lot of resources, I will also be able to learn more about the martial desolate land. Qin Yun guessed that Zi Qingsheng and Lan Fengjin were most likely in the Moon Profound Valley. Xia Wufeng, Huizhong, and Murong Darren had followed Lan Huayu and company to the martial desolate land. They might even join a sect. Yulan and Teacher Yang should be in the Moon Profound Valley. Old Madame Du of the Moon Profound Valley is not bad. She stood up for me. Although she did not succeed in the end, it is still rare for her to have such a heart. I wonder where Yu Mei and Little Mei Lian are. Qin Yun suddenly recalled that the Divine Inscription Palace was also spread throughout the martial desolate land. He could go to the Divine Inscription Palace first. Xiao Yuanmei and Xiao Xianqin had followed Zhuochuan through the martial desolate land. If he could find Zhuochuan, he would know Xiao Yuanmei's whereabouts. Qin Yun spent a few purple coins and asked a few children. He also learned that there was no Divine Inscription Palace in this broken city. Only in a Xian city would there be a Divine Inscription Palace. If one wanted to enter a Xian city, they would have to spend 100,000 purple coins to buy a year's pass. In the martial desolate land, there were spirit-level cities, Xian-level cities, and king-level cities. Even in a spirit-level city, one would need to spend 10,000 to buy a pass. Therefore, the people who gathered in a dilapidated city like this were all the poorer ones. If it was an inner disciple of a Xian sect, they would be able to use the sect's identity token to enter a spirit-level city and a Xian-level city for free. However, to enter a king-level city, they would still have to spend 1,000,000 purple coins to buy a pass. Qin Yun could not even enter a spirit-level city, much less a Xian-level city. However, he was not worried about the source of the purple coins because he was an inscription master and he had a lot of refining materials in his storage space. He only had an initial understanding of this mysterious martial desolate land. If he wanted to understand it clearly, he would have to explore further. Although Qin Yun had arrived at a dilapidated city, there were also some places of higher quality. Many of the people who entered the Cloud Dragon Mountain range were wealthy hunters or disciples of sections. When they came in and out, they naturally had a rest here. Right now, Qin Yun had arrived at a 10-story tall iron building called the Dafeng Restaurant. He found a seat on the first floor and ordered some food. The dishes here were all demonic beast meat. A plate cost more than 10 purple coins, and they were the inferior kind. Qin Yun ordered 2 or 3 plates and spent all of the purple coins in his hands. He only found out after he finished counting. I still have a few inferior spirit artifacts in my hands. They should be able to sell for some purple coins. Qin Yun sighed as he picked up a dish and tasted it. At the next table, an old man sighed and said, "A few Xian sects entered the Cloud Dragon Mountain range to search for tombs and suffered heavy casualties. More than 10 experts of the spirit realm died." Isn't that so? A dragon actually ran out. That's something that only a martial king can deal with. It's said that the martial kings of several martial countries are discussing about slaying dragons. After discussing for so long, there's still no movement. Maybe they're all afraid. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. If a martial king were to make a move, he might really succeed. He had seen the dragon's strength before. Although it was very strong, there was a limit to it. Back then, Jin Xuanzi had held on for a long time, and he could tell that the dragon's strength was equivalent to a martial king. The martial king realm was one realm higher than the Xian realm. If a few martial kings joined forces, it was possible for them to slaughter that dragon. The martial king of Hongwu country originally said that he was going, but he still hasn't moved. He's most likely afraid. If you're afraid, then don't say it. Now you're embarrassing yourself. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed when he heard this. One had to know that the king of a martial kingdom was at the martial king realm. His strength was above the Xian realm. He controlled at least one king-level city, 10 Xian-level cities, and 100 spirit-level cities. Only with such a scale could one be called a martial kingdom. Therefore, a martial king would definitely not easily shoot empty cannons. If he really didn't do it, he would be laughed at. Just as the people at the table were chatting enthusiastically, the man in black sitting at the table in the corner slammed the table. "Don't talk nonsense. Our Hongwu country's Hong-Ing Martial King has already entered the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range. It won't be long before he returns after slaying the dragon. Place the dragon head at the gates of our Hongwu royal city." The black-clothed man was wearing a straw hat. He looked very young and very thin. His eyes were filled with sharpness, and he exuded an innate arrogance. At this moment, those experienced and knowledgeable seniors could tell that this skinny man had an extraordinary identity. "Yo, so you're a member of the Hongwu royal family?" Someone laughed disdainfully. "Look at how certain you are. It seems like you're very clear about it. If you really understood, you wouldn't be sitting in such a place drinking wine." This restaurant was not bad, but the first floor's grade was relatively low. "Can I save purple coins?" The skinny youth was somewhat unhappy. He looked coldly at the middle-aged man and released a wave of hot Great Tao energy. Chapter 355. Hong Yinshin Yun was very calm. He could tell that the skinny youth was in the martial Tao realm, but he was only at the first level of the martial Tao. His Great Tao life mark was only at the first stage. It could be seen from the aura of the Great Tao power. In the martial desolate land, there were indeed quite a few martial Tao realm cultivators. In this place where fish and dragons mixed together, there were quite a few. Seventh Prince Hong Wu, please be magnanimous. If you were to fight here, this old man's hotel would be destroyed. We are just trying to make a living. If you want to fight, you can go outside and fight. A little old man dressed in luxurious red clothes walked down from upstairs and ran to the skinny youth's table. The expressions of the people on the first floor changed drastically. They could not help but look at the skinny youth in shock. The middle-aged man who had just spoken to the skinny youth was immediately sweating profusely. "Seventh Prince, I'll take your purple coins for this meal. You can also go to the top floor and enjoy the best, free of charge." In order to calm the matter, the owner of the hotel hurriedly said with a smile. Qinyan looked at the little old man. His aura was at the 6th or 7th level of the martial Tao realm. He had to be polite to the 7th prince. No one had expected that they would actually meet a member of the royal family here. Furthermore, it was a prince. The reason why I don't go up there is not because I'm poor, but because I like this kind of place. I, Hong Yin, am not the kind of person who likes to put on airs. I don't want you to do it for free either. I'll pay as many purple coins as I should pay. The skinny youth said indifferently. "Don't worry, I have my principles. I won't destroy your hotel. Even if I do, I'll compensate you as much as I should." Everyone could not help but give the 7th prince a thumbs up. It was indeed rare for a dignified son of a martial king to be so polite. The king of Hongwu country is the Hong-Ing martial king. I heard that he has hundreds of daughters. This Hongwu 7th prince is only at the first level of the martial Tao realm. He should be very young. So why is he ranked 7th? One must know that the Hong-Ing martial king is at least 1 to 2,000 years old. A youth curiously asked the elder beside him in a low voice. Qinyan was also extremely curious about this. 7th Prince Hong Yin seems to be only in his 20s. I heard that he just competed with someone else and lost miserably. It was unknown who had the guts to say this in a low voice. Hong Yin said indifferently. "Only a son who is recognized by my father can be conferred the title of king and have the title of prince. I was conferred the title of Fire King when I was 10. Behind me are the 8 kings and 9 kings. Although they are all several hundred years old and have higher cultivation than me, they are ranked behind me." Many people also knew that the Wu Kingdom's princes were ranked according to the king's personal preferences. Some children didn't even have a queue number. That was very pitiful. Just the thought of it gave Qin Yin a headache. He was also born in a royal family. He only had a few brothers, but they fought until their heads bled. In a huge martial country like the Martial Desolate, the king's children numbered in the hundreds and thousands. One could imagine that the king's harem of 3,000, a real 3,000. The Wu kingdom is so powerful. Just the king's children alone might be comparable to a Xian sect. Someone suddenly said. When everyone heard this, they immediately fell silent. When Qin Yin thought about it carefully, he was quite shocked. The strongest son of a martial king was definitely at the Xian martial realm. There was no need to talk about the other martial Dao realm cultivators. Just the thought of this kind of strength was terrifying. Even though the martial kingdom was so powerful, no one dared to call themselves the emperor. This was because once they declared themselves the emperor, it would mean that the other martial kingdoms would be unified. This would lead to war. And now, in the Martial Desolate, there seemed to be no such level of power. Everyone had a deeper understanding of Hong Yan's position as the seventh prince. Hong Yan took off his straw hat. He was actually bald, and there was a cluster of flames on his head. It was a very strange shape. Is this Hong Yan's strange fire spirit vein? It grew on his head. No wonder he was recognized by the Hong Ing martial king and conferred the title of Fire King. I heard that he also has a nickname, King Thin, because he's thin. His martial spirit seems to be the Dragon Flame martial spirit, which is between a legendary and a heavenly martial spirit. Many people were discussing the seventh prince in low voices. They only dared to speak because they saw that Hong Yan was easy to talk to. Hong Yan suddenly stood up and walked towards Qin Yun's table. Brother, we are both at our own table. How about we share a table? This way, you can eat more and it won't be so boring. Hong Yan asked with a smile on his face. Hong Yan looked rather kind and his face was rather handsome. However, because he was too thin and small, he did not give off the feeling of a handsome martial artist. It was also very easy for others to look down on him. This way, he could conceal himself and then pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Qin Yin also said with a smile, I'm very willing. Hong Yan smiled and sat down. Then, with a wave of his hand, he used his powerful mental force to lift up the dishes on his table and move them to Qin Yun's table. Qin Yin had just said that he was willing, but not long after, he regretted it. This was because Hong Yan ate a lot very quickly, as if he was the reincarnation of an evil spirit. Qin Yin was not someone who was willing to suffer a loss. He hurriedly increased the speed at which he picked up the dishes and swept through the dishes. Not long after, the two of them had eaten everything. Many people also noticed that this made them feel somewhat strange. This was because these two young men seemed to have been starving for hundreds of years. My dear friend, looking at your attire, did you just come out of the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range? Hong Yan said with a smile before calling a waiter over to settle the bill. Qin Yun and Hong Yan each paid their own bills. That's right, I want to go to a decent city. I wonder if Fire King has any recommendations? Qin Yun asked. The closest city to here is the Northern Spirit City. It's under the control of Yuwu country. It's not bad. Hong Yan said, if brother wants to go, we can go together. All right. Qin Yan hurriedly agreed. With his strength, he was naturally not afraid of Hong Yan. Hong Yan chuckled and left the restaurant with Qin Yan. Everyone was somewhat envious of Qin Yan for being able to befriend such a prince. Qin Yan followed Hong Yan as he wandered around the city. Brother, how should I address you? Hong Yan asked. Qin Yan smiled. Seventh prince, when are we going to the Northern Spirit City? Let's buy 2 tiger horses first. This way, we won't be so tired on the road. If we're hungry, we can even kill them to eat. Hong Yan smiled and said, I'll take you to buy a horse right now. Brother Yan, to be honest, I'm a little tight on money. I don't have any purple coins left. Hong Yan smiled awkwardly and said, you can pay for the horse for me for now. I'll definitely return it to you in the future. As the dignified seventh prince, I won't go back on my word. Qin Yin was taken aback. He stopped in his tracks and carefully examined the person in front of him. The dignified seventh prince actually did not have the money to buy a horse. If you were the seventh prince, I wouldn't be afraid. But you don't look like the real seventh prince, Qin Yun said with a smile. Your father is a martial king who can slay dragons. Why are you so poor? When Qin Yun thought of how he had shared a table to eat, he could not help but curse inwardly. This Hong Yin was even poorer than him. Hong Yin sighed. To be honest, I lost to someone in a martial arts competition and lost everything. Weapons, armor, storage spirit artifacts, clothes, hair, accessories. I lost them all. I even picked up this set of clothes. I've been in the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range for a few days, and I haven't even found a single hair of a demon beast. When Qin Yun heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched. He had thought that Hong Yin had shaved his head for the sake of his personality and to highlight his unique fire spirit vein. He never expected that the hair was actually because he had lost. It's really tragic. Qin Yun laughed dryly. Brother Yun, I saw that you were fated to be my friend. Hong Yin said with a smile. It's a deal then. Let's go buy a horse. Qin Yun felt that Hong Yin had found him because he was honest and easy to deceive. To be honest, I'm also poor. I spent all the purple coins on that meal just now. Qin Yun said. He was telling the truth. Brother, you must be joking. You're already so poor, and you're still spending purple coins on such a sumptuous meal. Hong Yin said with a smile and disbelief. Qin Yun chuckled and said, Brother, aren't you the same? You're already so poor. Why are you still buying a horse? You could just walk there. I'm planning to go to the Northern Spirit City and gamble on the horse. Maybe I can make a comeback. Hong Yin said, Brother, you're not a member of the royal family. If you don't have enough purple coins, you won't be able to enter the Northern Spirit City. Qin Yun rolled his eyes and asked curiously, Seventh Prince, you're not weak either. You actually lost in a martial arts competition. You must have lost many times. Hong Yin coughed dryly twice. I lost in the Northern Spirit City. I lost 7 times in a row, and I lost to the same person. What the hell? It's fine if I lose, but my reputation. Sigh, I won't dare to return to Hongwu Royal City for a while. I'll be laughed to death by those royal brothers. All right, I have a storage bag on me. How much is it worth? Qin Yin took out a storage bag and handed it to Hong Yin. He also wanted to exchange for some purple coins. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to move an inch in this place. Hong Yin took it and looked at it. He said in pleasant surprise, Brother Yun, your luck is really good. Where did you pick it up? The quality of this storage bag is not bad. It can be sold for 5,000 purple coins. It's just that I don't have the certification of a famous person. Otherwise, I would be able to sell it for double the price. 5,000 purple coins. If it was in the border area, it would be equivalent to 5 million crystal coins. It was also very expensive. What's with the certification of a famous person? Qin Yun asked. It's the Divine Inscription Palace's Golden Book of Inscriptions. There are a total of more than 2,000 inscriptionists. As long as it's refined by these guys, the last one will be able to double the value of the storage bag. Hong Yin said with a smile. Hong Yin seemed to be very familiar with this place. He quickly found a place to pawn his storage bag. After some haggling, he finally obtained 5,000 purple coins. Hong Yin only borrowed 1,000 and returned 4,000 to Qin Yun. Qin Yun was worried that it would be snatched away. Following that, the two of them headed for the Northern Spirit City. Brother Yun, wait for me outside the city. I'll lend you the purple coins after I turn the tables and let you buy the pass. Hong Yin said with a smile. Qin Yun did not expect Hong Yin to make a comeback. He had lost 7 times in a row, and the chances of him making a comeback were very small. After all, this was a martial arts competition. It did not rely on luck, but strength. He had lost 7 times in a row. From this, it could be seen that his strength was inferior to that person's. Who did you lose to? That person must have a strong background, right? Furthermore, to be able to make you, the 7th prince, lose so badly, he is definitely not an ordinary person. Qin Yun said. Chapter 356. Northern Spirit City. When Qin Yun heard Xiao Yuemei's name, he was immediately stunned. Xiao Yuemei was truly sinister. She was indeed a crafty little girl. Qin Yun had been schemed against before, but now she had become the princess of Xiao Wu country. Seventh Prince, are you sure that girl is the princess of Xiao Wu country? Qin Yun asked. Could she have lied to you? It shouldn't be wrong. The Northern Spirit City is the territory of Yu Wu country, but the 109th Prince of Yu Wu country is very concerned about this girl. Hong Yin said, I heard that Xiao Yuemei has just been conferred the title of princess. She's ranked 3rd. Qin Yin said, it looks like your Hong Wu country has very few titles. The other martial kingdoms are all lined up in the hundreds. Our Hong Wu country only has 10 title positions. Unless one of them dies, the others will take their place. I'm lucky. The one who was originally ranked 7th died, and my aptitude is not bad. In addition, my mother is favored. So, I became the 7th prince. Hong Yin smiled proudly. He sighed, I had originally planned to go to the Cloud Dragon Mountain range to see if I could meet my father so that he could help me. I didn't expect to not even see a single hair of his. Qin Yin suddenly felt that Hong Yin, the 7th prince, was a big deal. Previously, when he was in the hotel, he had a good impression of him because of Hong Yan's words. But now, it seemed that because Hong Yan was too poor, he did not go and show off. He even pretended that he was not greedy for vanity and luxury. This was also to not be underestimated by others. The son of a martial king was in such a miserable state. There was no one else like him. Actually, this was also Hong Yan's own fault. He had lost everything in the martial arts competition. So who could he blame? Qin Yun and Hong Yan ran through the desolate mountains and spent more than 2 days to arrive at the city gates of the Northern Spirit City. The Northern Spirit City was a spirit-level city. It was surrounded by walls that were dozens of meters tall and protected by a great formation. The city gates were tightly shut and many people were queuing outside, waiting to open the gates to enter. Every morning and afternoon, the gates would be opened for 2 hours to let people in. Hong Yin wore a straw hat to hide his bald head and fire spirit vein. He and Qin Yun were also queuing outside the city gates. Qin Yun had asked Hong Yin about the use of the fire spirit vein. It was to absorb a single fire attribute spiritual energy from the 9 suns' spiritual energy. Moreover, in a relatively hot place, he could also absorb the fire spiritual energy that was useful to him. As they lined up, the door suddenly opened. It's not time yet. What's going on? Just as Hong Yin finished speaking, he saw a large caravan land not far away. It's that guy, the 109th Prince of Yu Wu country. Hong Yin coldly snorted. In the past, I also had such a flashy caravan. Unfortunately, I lost to that girl. Qin Yun had only lined up to accompany Hong Yin. He did not really want to enter the Northern Spirit City. He did not have 10,000 purple crystal coins, so he could not buy a pass. When the limousine slowly drove over, a man wearing luxurious golden clothes walked down from it. He was tall and thin, and his skin was very white. Coupled with his luxurious clothes, he looked very noble. This was the 109th Prince of Yu Wu country, Yu Sha. In contrast, Hong Yin was dark and swarthy, and he was very short. He wore a set of black clothes that he had stolen from somewhere, and he even wore an old straw hat on his head. He did not look like a prince at all. Haha, isn't this the famous 7th Prince of Hong Wu country? It's really you. I thought I recognized the wrong person. Yu Sha waved his fan as he walked over, his face full of ridicule. There were more than 200 people in the queue, and most of them were in the martial Dao realm. They all looked at Hong Yin in shock. Hong Yin was still very famous. After all, he was able to become the 7th Prince of Hong Wu country at such a young age. His talent was also very good, so he naturally became the focus of discussion. Furthermore, everyone in the Northern Spirit City knew that Hong Yin and Xiao Yuemei had competed in 7 matches and lost every single one of them. He had lost everything he had to Xiao Yuemei. Now that Hong Yin had appeared here, it was obvious that he was here to make a comeback. Hong Yin ignored Yusha and continued chatting with Qin Yin. Yusha looked at Qin Yin, who was standing behind Hong Yin, and said with a faint smile, Hong Yin, I didn't expect you to find a servant so quickly. Not bad. He looks very young, but he's already in the martial Dao realm. Hong Yin said to Qin Yin, ignore him. Yusha looked at Qin Yin and said, you are Hong Yan's dog slave only because of the purple coins. How about this? You lick the dust off my shoes and call me master. From now on, you will be my dog slave. I guarantee that if you are by my side, your treatment will definitely be better than now. Qin Yin listened quietly to Yusha's words. He was not surprised. Yusha was the son of a martial king. Although he was ranked 109th, his status was still very high. Because of the generous rewards, many martial Dao realm cultivators were willing to be his servants. As for a prince like Hong Yin, he was a rather strange existence. It was rather surprising. Yusha, he's my friend. Hong Yin was slightly angry as he shouted. So that's how it is. Yusha smiled. Then, friend, I'll give you 10,000 purple coins. Just scold Hong Yin for being a fool. How about it? Don't care about his feelings. Friends are meant to be sold out. I see that you are so poor, so I'll give you a chance to earn purple coins. 10,000 purple coins, that's not a small amount. Don't worry, Yusha, will never go back on my word. Qin Yin looked at Hong Yin and said, Hong Yin is a fool. When Yusha heard this, he laughed out loud. As expected, he took out a large bag of purple coins and threw it in front of Qin Yin. This caused many people to be extremely envious of him. Hong Yin, did you see that? Even though you were the 7th prince of Hongwu country, no one would treat you as a prince with your appearance. You only became a prince because you were lucky. You are not even comparable to a single finger of mine, Yusha said with a happy smile. Qin Yin opened the large bag and said to Hong Yin with a smile, 7th prince, we agreed just now. I'll take 7 and you'll take 3,000 purple coins. Hong Yin chuckled and hurriedly took out 3,000 purple coins from the bag. There are so many fools these days. It's easy to give away purple coins. It's worth it to earn so many purple coins without any effort. Just now, Hong Yin and Qin Yin had already discussed this matter. It would be a waste not to earn purple coins from such a spendthrift. He had only been scolded once. It was normal for friends to curse each other with all sorts of vulgarities. The complacent smile on Yusha's face disappeared in an instant and became gloomy. He had originally thought that Hong Yin would be angry because of his friend's betrayal. He never expected that he would actually conspire to earn 10,000 purple coins from him, making him look like a fool. A fool's purple coins, it's so good to earn them. Hong Yin happily carried a large bag of purple coins on his back. He did not have a storage bag, so he could only leave it there. As for Qin Yin, he had a storage bag and a spirit artifact. He immediately put away. Those who had a storage spirit artifact were not considered too poor. Furthermore, they were in the martial Dao realm. They more or less had some ability. Yusha felt that it was one thing to be cheated by Hong Yin. After all, Hong Yin was a prince. As for Qin Yin, in his eyes, he was just a nobody. He had actually swindled him of his purple coins. When he thought of this matter, he flew into a rage. Yusha pointed at Qin Yin and said angrily, "You trash, you have quite the guts. How dare you tease me? It seems that you have some ability. Do you dare to compete with my follower? If you win, you will be able to obtain 10,000 purple coins. If you lose, you will have to pay 10,000 purple coins. Of course, your lowly life might also be lost." Hong Yin hurriedly tugged at Qin Yin's clothes, telling him not to agree. "You Wu's 109th prince. How about I fight? Although I, Hong Yin, am the 7th prince of Hongwu, I have never looked down on anyone. Even if it's your follower, I will treat him as a martial artist and fight him fair and square." Hong Yan's tone carried a sense of heroism as he smiled at the old follower. He looked very polite and graceful. It was worthy of praise. Compared to the arrogant Yusha, the difference in strength was obvious. Yusha sneered and said, "Hong Yin, who doesn't know your strength? If my follower were to compete with you, he would definitely lose. It's better to let your trash friend come. Qin Yun said, you said that as long as I win against your follower, I will be able to obtain 10,000 purple coins. I'm a man of my word. 10,000 purple coins might be a lot to you, but it's nothing to me. Yusha wanted to win back the 10,000 purple coins he had just given out just to gain back some face. Qin Yun nodded and said, all right, I'll compete with your follower. When Yusha heard this, he laughed and said, straightforward. He looked at a middle-aged man with a treacherous face beside him and said, if you can defeat that guy, you can get 10,000 purple coins. The middle-aged man's face was filled with excitement as he hurriedly walked out. Everyone immediately retreated, allowing them to compete here. Qin Yun looked at the middle-aged man and was extremely calm. The black-clothed middle-aged man sneered. Looking at how you're dressed, you should be a servant. What a joke to say you're a friend. You're a dog. You're a dog. How dare you lie to our Prince Shah? I'll teach you a lesson. Begin. The one who shouted was Yusha. The middle-aged man seemed to know as well, so he immediately rushed over and took out his weapon. It was a pair of black hooked claws that viciously grabbed at Qin Yun. Mother of Asterisk Kerr, he can actually use weapons. Han Yun cursed in a low voice and shouted at Qin Yun, Brother Yun, be careful. The dog servants beside Yusha are all quite strong. Qin Yun dodged left and right, easily dodging his opponent's sinister attack. Yusha was secretly astonished when he saw how impressive Qin Yun's movement technique was. Han Yun never expected that Qin Yun, who looked so poor, would be so strong. After Qin Yun dodged the middle-aged man's most ferocious attack, he saw that his opponent's aura had weakened. He used Tsunami technique and Vajra inner strength to strike out with 9 shockwaves. The middle-aged servant was caught off guard and was forced to retreat. As for the shockwaves, they surged in all directions, stirring up a violent gale. Chapter 357. White Maple Villabang Bang. The middle-aged man was punched twice and screamed twice. His mouth was full of blood, and his teeth had been shattered by Qin Yun. The flaming light fist could make one's fist burn extremely hot. The heat it released also made Han Yin, a fire refiner, feel alarmed. Even Yusha was astonished by Qin Yun's moves. He was also in the martial Dao realm, so he could naturally tell that Qin Yun was not an ordinary martial Dao realm cultivator. He was proficient in all aspects. Even the outstanding martial Dao realm disciples of many sects were at this level. Boom! Qin Yun charged forward and punched the middle-aged servant in the abdomen, sending him flying to Yusha's feet. The middle-aged servant spat out blood and rolled around in pain. He lost. Take out 10,000 purple coins. Qin Yun said indifferently. Yusha never expected that he had misjudged him. He had previously thought that Qin Yun was the kind of lackey who wanted to curry favor with Han Yin. He never expected him to have such powerful strength. The warriors lining up at the door were also secretly alarmed. They had also thought that Qin Yun was Han Yan's lackey. But from the looks of it, such strength was definitely not ordinary. Yusha's face was filled with anger as he gave Qin Yun another 10,000 purple coins. This amount of purple coins was nothing to him, but it made him lose face. People like him were very prideful. You sure are heavy-handed. You must be a ruthless and vicious martial artist. A person like you cannot enter our northern spirit city. I will stand at the door later and have the guards forbid you from selling the pass. Yusha said coldly before walking to the city gate. He took a chair and sat there. Han Yin said, Brother Yin, I really have eyes but failed to see. I have misjudged you. Your strength is not bad. Just what is your background? Qin Yin smiled. I'm just a wandering martial artist. Han Yin did not believe him at all, but he did not ask further. He only planned to investigate in the future. Qin Yin wanted to enter the northern spirit city because Xiao Yuanmei was inside. However, he was stopped by Yusha. There was nothing he could do about Yusha. After all, he was the son of King Wu. Although he would not meet King Wu's father many times a year, if he killed him, it would be like slapping King Wu's face. The consequences would be severe. Qin Yin was no match for someone at the spirit martial realm, much less the Xian martial realm, which was above the spirit martial realm. The martial king realm was even stronger than the Xian martial realm. Suddenly, Qin Yin saw an old man take out a golden badge. It was the badge of a high-ranked inscription master. When Yu Sha saw this kind of inscription master, he revealed a smile and greeted him. Seventh Prince, a high-ranked inscription master can casually enter and exit a spirit-level city. Qin Yin hurriedly asked, I remember that a high-ranked inscription master might have a pass. Why don't you know anything? Did you just come out of your mother's womb? Hong Yin said with a smile. A high-level inscription master can buy a pass at half price. If you're a high-ranked inscription master, Yu Sha will not be able to stop you from entering. High-level inscription master. That is the status symbol of the divine inscription palace. If someone denies this status symbol, that would be denying the divine inscription palace. If you have a personal grudge with an inscription master, fighting and killing is not a problem. But if you violate the contract between the divine inscription palace and the major cities, then it will be troublesome. Therefore, even a prince cannot restrict the passage of an inscription master. Qin Yun, who was standing behind Hong Yin, secretly felt relieved. He had the gold badge of a high-ranked inscription master. It was given to him by the divine inscription palace. Although he had obtained it from the divine inscription palace, it was still common here. Everyone found it strange. Qin Yun had been restricted by Yu Sha, but he was still queuing up. Hong Yin only thought that Qin Yun was here to talk to him. Hong Yin had a token to begin with. As long as he confirmed that his pass was real, he would be able to enter. After he passed through the guards, he prepared to bid farewell to Qin Yun at the city gate. Unexpectedly, Qin Yun took out a bag of purple coins. I've said it before, it's very dangerous for someone like you to use heavy hands during a martial arts competition. You can't enter, Yu Sha said proudly. Hurry up and scram. Hurry up and leave, don't waste our time. Prince Sha already said that a ruthless person like you can't enter. Didn't you hear him? Why are you so thick-skinned? Hurry up and leave. Qin Yun took out a golden badge at a leisurely pace. Yu Sha, who was sitting on a chair, could no longer sit still when he saw the badge. He suddenly stood up. The people in the queue who were blindly shouting also immediately quietened down. This was the badge of a high-ranked inscription master. In the martial desolate land, high-ranked inscription masters were more common. However, it was rare to see such a young high-ranked inscription master. The guards who often guarded the gate were no strangers to this kind of badge. They could tell if it was real or fake at a glance. The old man in charge of selling the pass said to Yu Sha in a low voice, Prince Sha, this is real. The badge belongs to him. This is a high-ranked inscription master. Hong Yin was even more dumbfounded. His talent in fire was not bad. His flames were very strong, and his control over fire was also very good. However, he did not have the slightest bit of talent in inscriptions, so he was unable to become an inscription master. He never expected that the fellow who had been with him for 2 or 3 days was actually a high-ranked inscription master. Yu Sha, if you dare to stop him, all the members of the royal family of Yuwu country will not be able to enter the divine inscription palace in the future. Hong Yin laughed. Yu Sha was both angry and alarmed. He could only wave his hand and ask the old man to sell the pass. A young inscription master with a strong combat strength was rather rare. Generally speaking, inscription masters studied the Tao of inscriptions and their combat strength was average. It was only when they used magic treasures and talismans that they had a high combat strength. Qin Yin used 5,000 purple coins to buy a pass. Hong Yin was extremely excited. He never thought that he would be able to befriend an inscription master. He immediately brought Qin Yin into the city with a laugh. When Yu Sha saw Qin Yin walk away, he immediately sent someone to investigate Qin Yun's background. Everyone felt that such an inscription master must have a great background. There were many people in the northern spirit city, and the buildings here were all relatively old. The spiritual energy here was much denser than outside. This was also the credit of the Great Formation. Because it was close to the Cloud Dragon Mountain range, It became a place where many hunters traded and recuperated. Hong Yin brought Qin Yun to a relatively narrow street. This kind of place was usually rather messy. Inns in spirit-level cities are very expensive. If it's an inn in a bustling area, it would cost 700 to 800 purple coins a day. Here, it's only 200 purple coins. Hong Yin had also been poor for a period of time before he understood these things very well and learned to be meticulous. They stayed in an inn and asked for a small suite with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. It was only 500 purple coins a day. I'll rest well first. Tomorrow, I'll challenge Xiao Yuanmei. I must win back my things. Hong Yin looked full of confidence. He looked at Qin Yun and asked curiously, Qin Yun, tell me honestly, are you an old man? No. Qin Yun asked doubtfully, why do you say that? You're an old man. Such a young, high-level inscription master with such a strong combat strength. This is very rare. Hong Yin said with certainty, Uncle Qin, you're an old man? Don't lie to me. Qin Yun smiled. All right, if you think I am, then I am. Hong Yin chuckled and said, Uncle Qin, the storage bag you refined is of a very high grade. You must have been training hard, so you don't know much about the outside world. I'll follow you for a period of time and bring you to understand the outside world. Have you never seen an inscription master in the royal family of Hongwu country? Qin Yin found it strange when he saw Hong Yin trying to get close to him. Hong Yin said, Our Hongwu country has a Dao inscription master who can refine Dao artifacts. There are also other inscription masters, but they rarely show their faces, and it's not easy to communicate with them. It was very difficult for Hong Yin to meet an inscription master like Qin Yun who could chat with him. Qin Yun and Hong Yin chatted for a while before returning to their rooms to rest. Qin Yun was also in a hurry to see Xiao Yuanmei. Therefore, at night, he quietly left the inn. Previously, he had learned from Hong Yin that Xiao Yuanmei lived in a villa. The northern spirit city was very big, and the bustling area was right in the middle. White Maple Villa was a very mysterious villa. Even Hong Yin did not know who this villa belonged to. White Maple Villa. There's also a great formation. Qin Yun arrived outside the walled villa. After sensing it, he was secretly alarmed. With a great formation, it would not be so easy to sneak in. Qin Yun used his shadow power and lingered outside the gate for a while. Suddenly, he saw a caravan drive over. He had seen this car outside the city gate today. It belonged to Yusha. What is this fellow doing in the White Maple Villa? Qin Yun hurriedly hid under the carriage. At that moment, the sky was dark, and he had concealed himself well, so he was not discovered. The carriage smoothly drove into the villa. This made Qin Yun even more curious as to what kind of existence this villa was. Qin Yun came out from under the carriage and entered the pitch-black area to prevent the light from shining on him. The villa was very spacious. There were many gardens, pavilions, lakes, rivers, rockery, and so on. It was like a pleasant little mountain village. He followed the carriage to a garden. In the middle of the garden, there was a 2-story building. Yusha was the only one in the carriage. He was wearing a set of red clothes, rubbing his hands as he walked towards the 2-story building with a face full of anticipation. When he arrived at the door, Yusha knocked on the door and asked, Princess Yuanmei, I'm Prince Sha. You told me to look for you tonight, so I'm here. Qin Yun was taken aback. Hidden in the darkness, he hurriedly entered the small building. As soon as he entered, he sensed Xiao Yuanmei's aura. Xiao Yuanmei did not discover Qin Yun. She hurriedly went to open the door. After Yusha opened the door, he saw Xiao Yuanmei wearing a light and elegant white dress. He said happily, Princess Yuanmei, it's so late. Why did you ask me to come here? Of course I have a favor to ask of you. Xiao Yuanmei laughed tenderly. There was a trace of charm in her laughter. This made Yusha laugh even more happily. As soon as he entered the house, he quickly closed the door. The moment he closed the door, Xiao Yuanmei took out several long needles and pierced them into Yusha's body. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.